What is up, everybody? It's me, your boy, Steve Thomas, choiceminis on your social media of choice. Oh boy. Oh boy. How's it going, everybody? All right. Finally hit all the right buttons. We're finally live. Look at this guy. Got ourselves some orc. We've got ourselves an orc. Working a little bit tonight on some silver cloth, but we're not going to work on this one in particular. We might do a little bit of cleanup on this guy. I was just fooling around with him a little bit earlier today, and I was like, well, you know, I kind of like where this is going. So instead of working on him, we're going to work on this guy. We're going to get him up to snuff. I'm going to darken down some of his clothing and stuff too. I decided that I wanted to do some of the straps and stuff as opposed to for just your regular, I guess now, Vegas Raiders. But, you know, I'm going to use the Orkland Raiders. We're going to do it our way, right? So, let's get down to it. How's everybody doing tonight? I have had a long day of work. It has been, oh boy, it has been an exceptionally long day today. So, I had a little bit of a nap before, well, my roommate very generously got sandwiches for dinner, so he ate a giant sandwich and then passed the F out. Just yeah. Just almost immediately fell asleep after eating a sandwich. I don't know if anybody else has ever done that. You eat a big meal and then you're just like, okay, well, I'm done. I mean, everybody's done that, I think, at some point in their lives. Eat too much, immediately fall asleep, so yeah. That was my afternoon. I mean, I had meetings and whatnot beforehand, but I'm glad to be on with you guys now. So that's what we're doing. Let's get some paint on here. I'm just using this is just straight up black, to be honest with you. So I'm using a little bit. Yep. We're using a little bit of scale color 00, so this is just scale color black. Getting that all over our friendly little orc here. Just I want to give some good contrast. I don't know what I'm going to do, whether I want to do the leather straps or just this like wrap thing that he's got going on that goes underneath the skull on the back and then up around the front. Yeah, I think that's actually all I'm going to do as far as silver. I had the leather straps on the other one in silver, but I did not do it with this guy. I'm getting messages on IG, so sorry, just give me 1 second here. I don't know where Adam is tonight. Said he was going to be on. Computer had to restart update. F's in chat for Adam. Adam has died. Or his computer had to do an update. Which is pretty much the same as dying, right? As somebody who has to run IT admin for people who constantly are confounded by the technology they already own. Yep. I can tell you that updating Windows 10 is basically the same as dying for not unsizable portion of our population, which is really disturbing in a lot of ways, because updating Windows 10 just not that big a deal. And in the other environments that I have to take care of it, most of the time users never notice the updates, so honestly say that device management on things that aren't Windows is sometimes just easier because they do work like magic. Man, I'm excited. I gotta say, so I know that this has literally nothing to do with mini painting. And I know I am a sucker for this sort of thing, but I'm actually excited to see what happens. On June the 24th, we got the Windows next update. Whatever announcement that's going to be, it's going to be Windows 11. There's supposedly already been news out for a full build that is already leaked. I went and looked at it because I always laugh whenever somebody gets their dev server hacked like that, or somebody leaks a dev server issue.
Here.
What up, buddy?
Oh, not much. Sorry, when I got a notification when I got to my computer, and I instead of clicking update later, I clicked update now.
It'll happen.
Yeah, hey, it's up to date.
Hey, that's good. There is the tiny part of me that is an IT person that is like, do updates when I offer them to you, because normally if Windows is to the point of screaming about an update, it's long past the period of time where you probably should already have done it. So
yeah, like I got it was like, hey, there's an update available. Do you want to do it now or schedule it for later? And I was like, I'm going to schedule this for later. And then I clicked, did not click that.
Huh. Well, that'll happen. That will happen. So how does your day go on, buddy?
Pretty good. Only worked an 8-hour day today. So
That's a reasonable amount of data work.
Yeah, that is true. I do kind of prefer the 10s, though.
Yeah, but you're also working like 10, 4 days, or 6 days a week right now, aren't you?
No, there's only Saturdays during that project, just because there was such a tight deadline on it, which we're now done. We did the final inspection was Tuesday.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that, buddy.
Yeah, it's real good.
Always
now
nice
my crew's been whittled down to like 5 dudes.
Well, 5 dudes is still more than no dudes.
This is true. I did find out that one of the other foremen who I've met and I really don't like, because he's for lack of a better term, he's a pee-pee head.
Ooh, he's not a good EPP then. He's a bad EPP.
Yeah, he's also like the company safety officer, and he doesn't like my foreman. So therefore, yeah, he's trying to steal me, I guess.
That's good. Did they get in a bidding war that ends up with you getting more money? Because get more money, son.
Probably not.
Never mind. Don't play their bullshit games. That sounds like a good way to win shitty prizes.
Yeah, that sounds like a good way to win a search for a new job.
Yep.
And I don't want to do that right now. I actually quite enjoy my job. I like the guys I work with.
That's good. Yeah, I was saying before, I had a very busy day. Have another busy day tomorrow. Actually, basically from now until the end of the month, I just have insanity at work. So, yeah, trying to get projects and stuff done while people are still around, because we're about to turn into the time of year where everybody turns into cowboys / pumpkins. So everybody's gonna.
I can't believe that is actually still happening this year.
I can believe it. I've seen the amount of money that corporate Calgary spends on pretending we're cowboys.
Yes. The chuck wagons are an authentic part of Western history. No, they're not. We made them up as a form of entertainment. Chuck wagons have no place in Western history or cowboy history.
Oh, I should be more livid now. People that use chuck wagons, just not at all in the way that we use them during the Stampede.
Yeah, well, not the reason they tell us. Like, the farmhands used to all race to the chuck wagon to get to the saloon at the end of the day. It's like, no, their farmsteads were generally hours, if not days, away from the nearest saloon.
Oh, come on. You're having no fun whatsoever, but also, yeah, you're spot on that one.
Grew up in a redneck town. The Stampede holds zero novelty.
I grew up being a part of the Calgary Stampede as first an employee and then a volunteer / unpaid source of entertainment. And I can tell you with full honesty, not a huge fan of the Stampede.
Yep. Like, you know, my hometown, it has the semifinals where Calgary hosts the finals.
Well, no, the World Rodeo Finals are held in Vegas.
Well, I mean, for like the Canadian rodeo circuit.
Canadian Rodeo Circuit is the same. It's PBR. PBR ends up in Vegas every year.
Okay.
The Professional Bull Riders Association, my friend. Also, Pabst Blue Ribbon.
All I know is that, yeah, I was like, beer? All I know is that essentially the week before the Stampede is in Calgary, it's in my hometown, and it's crazy in Calgary, and put that in a town of 7,000 people. Yeah, it sucked.
Could be worse. Pretty sure that your hometown didn't have the type of corporate cash to turn an entire town into a cocaine-fueled cowboy festival.
You would be surprised because all the people on the Stampede Council are also on the town council.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Just in case we're all wondering, we're from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, home of the Calgary Stampede, the quote-unquote greatest outdoor exhibition or greatest outdoor show on earth, which I would argue that's actually a pretty good county fair. Like, it is definitely one of the better county fairs I've ever been to. But to call it much more than that is really self-aggrandizing. We definitely got an overly large inflated opinion of ourselves on that one.
Yeah. I did last summer, or not last summer, but 2019.
Yeah.
I did spend an evening on the grounds. With
and
Jamie.
how was it spending several $100s?
I didn't. My old work paid for it.
Oh, nice.
But yes, if you've ever seen me in a slow-moving crowd, let alone a slow-moving crowd of drunk people, yeah, I'm not a happy person.
Well, to be fair, I'm not a happy person most of the time, so the crowd of slow-moving drunks doesn't really change that.
Slow-moving crowds in general make me really angry. People have legs, they should learn to use them.
Yeah. So I was as a child, and by as a child I mean until like my late teens, I was in the marching band scene. And yeah, that was one of the things the Calgary Stampede should probably have paid more for, but definitely didn't. They used the Calgary Stampede show band like a group of rented mules for 10 days. I mean, to be fair, then you got to pay thousands of dollars to do it, and also sometimes got to pay thousands of dollars to go on a trip. Also, during my time in the band, the Calgary Stampede somehow managed to go from paying their executives in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to the millions of dollars a year. Strange how that happened. Very strange. Like, completely unknowable. Who would ever have known how quote-unquote nonprofit that is run largely using volunteer labor could suddenly afford to compensate their few full-time employees millions of dollars? Not all of them, just making sure the executive board of the board of the Calgary Stampede was able to make, good million plus figure salaries. Good. Because that's what you want to do, your nonprofits, is making an extremely large amount of profits.
I had the distinct pleasure of working directly for one of them at the small landscaping company he bought, because gardening, he decided around in 1 year.
Well, yeah, that'll happen.
You don't know what you're doing, and you don't listen to the people who do.
Well, I've learned anything.
And the time it took you to plant too, he didn't like that. Went to a client meeting and was like, hey, all these shrubs we paid you guys to plant are dead. And they were all on the section he did.
Yeah. I mean, if I've learned anything, it's that success in one narrow area of life that compensates you richly. So being like a tech billionaire, or I don't know, good at smuggling money or lying for cash, definitely means that you are both infallible as a human being and definitely already qualified to talk with expertise about many other things.
Yep.
Also, sorry, I listened to a podcast called Behind the Bastards, and this week's episodes were about one William Gates. And I find it particularly fun what he does with the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation invitism that comes out of Robert Evans, formerly of Cracked. But I find that he's enlightening in a lot of ways, and nothing quite like reading the story of Bill Gates or remembering the story of Mark Zuckerberg or literally any of like Elon or any of those guys. Anyway, right now I'm painting. So this is actually just scale color. Where did I put the bottle for it? Oh, there it is. So it's graphite with a little bit of Mediterranean blue mixed into it. So just scale color graphite with a tiny amount of blue. I'm using the blue just to cool the tone. The graphite is really, really, really neutral, like exceptionally neutral. So I'm just mixing in the little bit of blue so that it's got some interest to the color. I found that it was a little bit too meh when I was originally putting it on, so I just mix a little bit in there because I feel like it makes it look better, or at least slightly more interesting. We will modulate the color just so that the highlights, we're going to have a little bit of yellow into them as well as or we'll put a little bit of yellow into straight graphite along with some white, or probably some Mojave white, maybe some white sand, depending on how I'm feeling when we get down to it.
Speaking of Mojave.
Oh yeah, what about it?
Which reminds me of Mojave Desert, which is where Fallout New Vegas took place.
Okay.
So a new Fallout thing was announced today and given its release trailer. It is not an official Bethesda product.
Thank goodness.
Kind of one of the kind of nice things about Bethesda, which is in the last few years, is one of the rare few nice things I can say about that gaming company. They have excellent modder support, and are very open to people modding their games. And while Fallout 4, the base game, is not great, there are some incredibly excellent mods that improve immersion and quality of life, like the Sim Settlements mods, Sim Settlements 1 and 2. I prefer 2 just because you don't have to use your companions as mayors. But a new one was announced today, which is Fallout London, which is going to make me reinstall Fallout 4 and install that mod, because I've always wanted a Fallout game in Europe, just because I wanted to see what, parts of the other world look like. Some people are like, oh, it's all about like the American retro futurism. It's like, yeah, but I also want to, I want to see what other places look like.
I thought that the nuclear war had only affected America. At least that's what I remember of old Fallout lore. Now, granted, it has been probably 10 years more than 10 years since I've played a Fallout game. It was Fallout 3. So,
that Fallout 3 is an excellent game.
Yeah. I mean, but I wasn't even playing like New Vegas and stuff. But from what I remember, I thought it was only America that had actually succumbed to nuclear war.
I think it was, I know for sure it's America and China.
Huh. All right.
Because they nuked each other, right?
Okay. This is me rapidly trying to remember any of the lore that I remember. It's not like I beat Fallout 3 either. I got like maybe 10 hours of gameplay into Fallout 3. So
I think I finished it 4 or 5 times, because I started a new character every time a new DLC for it came out.
That's fair. I did not. I played 1 and 2 way back in ye olde days, but I really haven't played much Fallout since then. I've watched other people play a lot of Fallout.
I did. Once I put a few different mods onto Fallout 4, like the aforementioned Sim Settlements, I enjoyed it a lot more. I don't like getting radio calls every 2 minutes from my settlements being attacked.
That seems very annoying.
Yeah, so I mean, I also did.
I have to say that I'm not a huge. Oh, go ahead.
I built sentry bots for each settlement as well. Yeah, Yeah, just to help defend. And then I turned on Sim Settlements 2 and made some random schmuck in each town the mayor, or each settlement the mayor. And then I went off and did like an entire expansion thing. I think it was Far Harbor, and then came back, and the skyline of the wasteland of the Commonwealth had changed because some of the settlements had built themselves into giant, like, Judge Dredd style mega block towers.
Okay, suddenly I'm way more interested. Why did they build themselves into giant Judge Dredd?
It's fair. I love Judge Dredd. Really, really love the Carl Urban Dredd movie. That was.
Oh yeah, no, Carl Urban Dredd and weird fashy comic are still my favorite.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't a huge fan of the Stallone movie, to be honest with you. Mostly because I found the costuming and Stallone's portrayal of Dredd to be ridiculous in the wrong way.
Yeah, I didn't like how much he didn't wear his helmet.
Yeah. I mean, the purpose.
Whereas Carl Urban flat out refused to remove his helmet. He's like, because he read all the comics, or a bunch of the comics before he started filming, because he had no idea who Judge Dredd was. I mean, he's like, no, he doesn't take his helmet off ever. Or if he does, never see his face.
Yeah, it's a Thatcher era satire, right? Like, so the entire point of it is that it's like a fashy future, and you're not really supposed to cheer for Judge Dredd. And then sometime in the early 90s, the creators / the guys who were writing for it forgot that Judge Dredd wasn't the good guy. Like, this was supposed to be like a warning of like possible awful futures, and everyone was like, yeah, but he's cool because he executes people and rides around on a motorcycle, and everyone's like, that's kind of not supposed to be the point, but like, okay, he can be better than all of these other judges we throw him against. Like, he can be better than like Judge Death. Does that make you guys happy? Which, to be fair, it does make me happy.
I really enjoy the Judge Dredd comics. I think my favorite one is Judge Dredd vs. Predator, because those are the same.
I wasn't imagining that was what's it called? The same one that owns that was Mark Millar's imprint. Fine. It'll come to me in like 5 minutes when I stop trying to think about it. Like, nobody really cared what was in the pages, kind of a deal, when they were originally published. Now it's really bothering me. It's not IDW, but it's somebody that is like that size. Regardless. Image? No. Dark Horse. Yeah. It was Dark Horse. It was Dark
Horse. I don't think it's Dark Horse anymore, though. According to it's Wikipedia, so I don't know. Rebellion Developments. Let's see if I can find something else.
Regardless, back when it was originally written, like Judge Dredd in the 80s was definitely about like a reaction to Thatcherism and about how they were going to have just like the you know, law and order response to roving gangs of Mad Max style adventurers was going to be roving gangs of murder cops on Harleys.
Current Judge Dredd is IDW.
It is IDW. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
right now.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, I thought it started out on Image, and maybe it has been on IDW the whole time. I do like.
Yeah, like I do have a bunch of old Judge Dredd comics, including, like, as I mentioned, Judge Dredd vs. Predator, which is amazing. Actually, I do have the 4-part series that the Dredd movie is actually based off of.
Slow-mo?
Yeah.
This, I think I bought Slow-mo in a trade at one point in time, but I'm pretty sure I either traded it to somebody for a less than legal substance at the time, or for something else. I don't remember. I know that I owned it at one point, but like most people, you know, I think the only comic books I still own, I've got a couple of trades of, well, that's not a couple of trades. I've got the entire run of, oh boy, what's it called? Civil War in the original, like the original comic, Prince of Civil War. And then I've got all of Deadpool's run back from before Deadpool had his own comic through to the end of Cable and Deadpool, and I stopped collecting Deadpool comics. Most of Cable and Deadpool I actually don't own as single issues anymore. I sold off a lot of the single issues because before the Deadpool movie came out, they got real popular, so I sort of bailed on that, but I did keep my original run comic books from 1 to 55, and then kept the rest of it in trade, so... Because trades are easier to manage, and if I really want to read, you know, a whole bunch of Cable and Deadpool, it's all just there in a nice little package for me.
You also have all of the Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's right. I have Darth Vader from the new run of Darth Vader from, let's see. Well, I have from 1 to 19, I think, right now.
Yeah, because it's still ongoing, isn't it? Or do they stop that?
No, Darth Vader's over. I think they replaced it with Boba. There is a Darth Maul comic that is ongoing right now, and there's something else that's ongoing that was in the same-ish vein. Same
never read
artist.
a lot of Star Wars comics.
Most of the Star Wars comics, especially when we were kids, were garbage. Like, they weren't even redeemable garbage. It was just like, oh, this is straight up real bad. And then Marvel got a hold of them during the whole, like, Disney buys the universe. And as Disney was buying the entire universe, Marvel, the comic book publishing arm of Marvel, got a hold of the Star Wars comics, and actually did a pretty good job during the sequel trilogy times. Like, a surprisingly good job. Like, I was actually shocked. Oh, that's the other one that's going on right now. It's Cassian Andor has a comic book series that I think is going to get...
also getting a TV show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the comic book is going to get over by the TV show here when that eventually hits Disney Plus, but right now he does actually have a comic book series. I haven't read any of the Cassian Andor comics, unfortunately. He seems like an interesting character, or a character I have some interest in. Just because I like the idea of not everybody needing to be a Jedi in order for them to be, you know, important to the universe. He seems like a guy who is not a Jedi and is still important to the universe. Sorry, not a Jedi or Han Solo.
Yep. Or R2-D2, because without R2-D2, none of it would have happened.
Well, see, there was like a period of time. So you know when R2-D2 and C-3PO are telling the story in the Ewok hut, where they become part of the village?
Mm-hmm.
In Jedi? There was like a small period of time where people were like, oh yeah, no, that's why R2-D2 is like the king of everything, because it's him and C-3PO telling the story, right? And R2-D2 clearly hates C-3PO. Like, clearly. Like, there is no two ways about it. But R2-D2 also, you know, remembers C-3PO, or remembers Anakin Skywalker and the good man he used to be, through standing around his, like, possibly worst creation and being like, I miss Annie. Like, I miss that little rascal. And I guess his golden wad is the only thing that I get to, like, remember him by, which is a little sad for me, but, like, I guess it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, like, I had to explain it to someone once why R2-D2 is the key to Star Wars.
Because if he doesn't stop Padme from getting blown up as they're escaping from Tatooine, they never get to go and find Anakin on a desert planet. Or sorry, not Tatooine, Naboo. If he doesn't help the Queen escape Naboo, none of the Star Wars trilogy ever, or saga ever happens.
Yeah.
I mean, also, he is like the Deus Ex Machina of Star Wars. Like, every time something bad is about to happen, R2-D2 gets shot and takes the laser blast from Vader's TIE Fighter instead of Luke getting it straight to the face.
The garbage smasher.
The garbage smasher, yeah.
The ray shield in Revenge of the Sith? Nope.
Yep, race shields. Yep. We're smarter than this.
Oh, don't worry, R2 will be along in a moment to free us.
Yeah. I do like Archie's screams.
Yeah,
Also,
Archie's
the sassy
screams
way
and
he
whistles
says
are
things
awesome.
about everybody. I'm pretty sure that he just runs his mouth and everybody just pretends that they don't know what he's saying so that they don't have to address just how he is. Like, just how impossibly
There,
sassy he is.
there are a couple characters in Star Wars that actually do understand R2, like Luke and Anakin.
Luke and Anakin both understand him. C-3PO understands him. Han doesn't, which
Han
surprises
doesn't.
me a little bit because Han understands Chewie, and it seems like nobody else does.
Yeah, that's true. And the one part of Solo I didn't really like is like how he took that as a like minored or took a course in Wookiee in high school, and I was like, that's stupid.
I like the non-canon, the Legends explanation of it more, where it's just that Chewbacca speaks with a real weird accent, and all the rest of like Wookiees speak pretty much normal, basic. Everyone's like, yeah, we would have told you guys sooner that Chewbacca's just a little bit of a weird dude, but like you guys really seem to like Chewbacca, so
I
fine.
read like an opposite one in the Heir to the Empire series
Yeah, it's
where
that
they were
that is
that,
in the
that,
era of
that
the Empire is where they're like, yeah, Chewbacca's a weird dude. We can all speak pretty much normal, basic.
well, no, it was the guy that was talking in basic. That was like because they're like, oh, like does Chewie have like a speech impediment? They're all he's like, no, Chewie actually speaks quite fine. I'm the one with the speech impediment. Like, it's something about him was easier to for him to speak basic. It's in the first book of the series because that's the only one I actually have.
See, I thought it was the other way around. Isn't his name like R'hllora or something like that too? Like something ridiculous?
Honestly, I haven't read it since I was a teenager.
That's
Um,
unfortunate. They are a great series of books. Honestly, Grand Admiral Thrawn is a total vamp.
yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn is probably my favorite Star Wars villain.
Yeah, and it's just a little sad that at no point in time. And yes, somebody in chat or on it watching is gonna say like Grand Admiral Thrawn has gotten all sorts of shrift in, or maybe you'll say this in I don't know Rebels probably. It seems like he would be in Rebels.
He was
Uh,
in Rebels. But actually,
But you know what he would
Rebels
have done a
helps
way
explain
better
why.
job of being the main bad guy for? The new trilogy. No, it would have been better than the actual new trilogy we got. Just
The Heir to
making the
the
Heir to the
Empire.
Empire books.
Yeah. Yeah. When they're like, oh, well, we have no canon to go from. It's like, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
You literally
Don't
have
lie.
like thousands upon thousands of books. And like, don't get me wrong, like I understand why Disney wanted to go their own way and all and didn't want to use the Timothy Zahn books. Like, I kind of get it. They paid $4.5 billion for Star Wars. They kind of wanted to do their own thing and like make all of the money themselves. But also, like, they were in a time prior to Shadows of the Empire. We were very starved for good Star Wars content, and Heir to the Empire was literally as close as we ever got. And then, you know, uh, and then it got better, and then it got a lot worse, and then it got slightly better again, and then it got weird, and then it got worse, and then the Emperor wasn't actually dead. Surprise!
And then it got better again.
Oh yeah, Mandalorian happened. I hate the
Yeah.
Mandalorian. Although I can honestly tell you, I haven't watched that much of Mando either. I watched the first
Oh
season.
man. Oh, the second season's also good. There's some excellent characters in the second season.
Totally fair. I was not a huge fan of the Bill Burr episode, and I know that lots of people loved that season one Bill Burr cameo episode because Bill Burr has no ability to play anybody other than Bill Burr, and that was just Bill Burr being Bill Burr in space. So, and I find him grating. So I don't know. Wasn't a huge fan of that episode. I get why people like it. I get why people like Bill Burr. It's just I'm not trying to take away anybody's enjoyment of that episode. He comes back too, doesn't he?
He's got an episode and a bigger part in season 2.
Yeah,
He's slightly less Bill Burr.
which is Good on him. I mean, get paid that Disney money. Like, take all of the mouse's money. But like, not necessarily my favorite. So that's fun. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. He's Bill Burr. He's got enough money that he could probably wander into my room and just like punch me in the face. And, like, literally, what am I gonna do? It's Bill Burr. Like, probably tell somebody, but like, nobody's really gonna care.
Yeah, no one would care.
Be like, Bill Burr wandered into my room and punched me, and they'd be like, "Well, what were you doing to Bill Burr?" And I'd be like, "I didn't really like his Mandalorian episodes, and I said it on the internet." And then he, listen, I have no doubt in my mind that Bill Burr will never show up to punch me in the face for saying that I wasn't super into his episodes on Mandalorian, because it seems like dude's got enough money that he shouldn't have to care about that sort of thing. Maybe he'll pay somebody to come and do it for him. Maybe that can be our canon. What happens to me when I besmirch the good name of Burr. So, I guess on the model, since, you know, we're talking about Star Wars and stuff, and not necessarily so much what's going on the model. Right now on the model, I'm just going through. Right now, I'm working a little bit on shadows. So this is just a combination of black, a little bit of the graphite and Mediterranean blue. I've also got a little bit of the straight. You guys can see there on the palette. That is just. Oh, I guess I should move stuff around. That is just straight graphite. This is graphite, and as I said, a little bit of blue. As I'm moving into the shadows, I'm using a little bit more of the blue. So this is a Mediterranean blue here. I'm just mixing a little bit extra in and bringing in a little bit of black. I'm using this as a nice, cool shadow color. And by cool, I mean like temperature cool shadow color. And I'm just going to sweep that up into some of our deeper shadows, darken those down. Yeah, I'm just continuing to work my way around the model. For right now, I'm mostly sticking to just this sash that will get to this color. In the lighter areas, I am using a combination. So I've just got titanium white on the palette that I'm mixing into our regular old mix of graphite and Mediterranean blue. And I'm just using that color to add some of our highlights in. I'm doing this from not really an overhead angle. We've got a definite light source on his face on this guy. So I'm trying to respect that choice as far as where the light is coming in and really trying to highlight towards that light source. So that's basically what I'm working on right now. Adam, are you painting tonight, or are you...
No, not tonight.
That's fine.
I was kind of hanging out tonight. I'm a little tired, and I have to be at work half an hour earlier tomorrow. So
yes.
Yeah,
if you are painting tonight, I would love to hear what you're painting. You can throw it up in chat and put it in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys are working on, because right now, so we're doing silver cloth tonight. I guess I never really introduced tonight's topic, but you did click on this video. So you gotta know to a certain degree what we're working on. But we're doing silver cloth tonight. So a lot of the part of silver cloth, beyond just being like a gray cloth, is that we are looking for reflections, reflected light in the cloth itself. Sorry, there is somebody yelling outside of my window, and now I'm interested in what they're yelling about, and now I kind of want to go and do the creepy thing where you like go over to the window and be like, "Are you yelling about something fun?"
you want to Glennis Kravitz it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I want to like, what is it? Is it Rear Window? Is that the one where the guy breaks his leg and then starts going crazy and thinks that the Simpsons made a parody of it, where Bart thinks that Flanders murders Maude? Is that Rear Window?
I don't actually know.
It's a
what they're
Hitchcock movie.
Now.
At any rate.
Maybe? I feel like they also made like a newer kind of remake of that with Shia LaBeouf and I think Samuel L. Jackson.
Hey, not familiar with that one, but also the idea of Shia LaBeouf and Samuel L. Jackson being in a movie together leads me to believe that Shia LaBeouf has more talent than I think he does. because normally when I think of Shia LaBeouf, I think of him as actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. So.
It was pre-actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
All right, well, oh, Mr. Jackson got paid. Samuel L. got paid for that one because don't want to say that Shia LaBeouf seems like a talentless jag, but he kind of seems like a talentless jag. So make of that what you will. That's me being unfair to a man who has been on TV since he was literally like 7 years old. So, I mean, I guess he has some talent. He managed to stay on TV when he was from the time he was like 7 years old. So, I guess I can't make that much fun of him. But also, going to anyway. Transformer movies were good, but not great. And then they became really bad.
That is,
They became pandery and Chinese propaganda, which is weird. Like, there was no reason for us to go visit the Dinobots other than they wanted to sell some Dinobots merch. But poor Grimlock just turned into, like, Optimus Prime's ride for a scene, basically. A scene that was like 2.5 hours into a movie that was 3.5 hours long, based off of a 30-minute per show with like 6 cells of animation children's cartoon from the 1980s. That was a real confusing sentence. I hope you followed along with me on that one.
You kind of lost me there near the end, but I got children's cartoon in the 1980s.
Have you actually seen Age of Extinction? I believe
No.
it's Age of Extinction that has Grimlock in it. The Dinobots are in
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that movie purely because the Dinobots were in it.
Yeah, exactly. So the entire point of that movie was that so we could watch the Dinobots, right? Like, That was the reason. Unfortunately, there was like 3 hours of other movie in there that was bad / unmemorable. Like, I don't know if you remember any of the rest of the plot of Age of Extinction. I honestly don't. I remember that they go to a Chinese forest so that they can hang out with Grimlock at the end. Middle end.
I remember them going to get the Dinobots. Because the Dinobots apparently in the Bayverse are like a sub-faction that doesn't really have much allegiance to either side because, well, they're dinosaurs.
Well, to be fair, if I was a dinosaur, you want to know whose side I would be on? Whoever is not inside me.
Yes.
As in, I would eat everyone, not I would have copious amounts of relations, adult relations with everybody. But then again, if I were a robot dinosaur, there's nothing saying that I wouldn't be some sort of weird fiend of a robot dinosaur. So, now I'm going to have weird dreams.
Do you know what time it is, Steve?
I'm pretty sure I know what time it is, but it's going to take me a second to get over and touch the button because I'm reaching over myself to touch the wet palette. It's time for news.
I'm really excited about the third one. That's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start off at the start. So let's talk a little fantasy news. Really, everything news actually this week. GW wants to give everybody Delta variant of COVID. No, I'm just kidding. GW is actually opening up registration or opened up registration for on Saturday. I don't know why we didn't bring this up on Tuesday, but I just kind of miss it. The U.S. Open registration is open, so there are going to be 3 events: Louisiana, Tampa Bay, and I believe Houston. Maybe it's Austin.
No, it's Orlando, New Orleans, and Austin.
Orlando, New Orleans, and Austin. Thank you. For some reason, I was thinking Tampa Bay. I don't remember why. But yeah, they're going to have U.S. Open events, which is cool. You can win their exclusive minis, which actually they're pretty cool, both of them. The new Overlord for Necron for 40k participation, and it looks like a new Chaos something or other I'm sure that we'll be able to get these. I think that these are also the dudes that they put at the grand opening in Los Angeles last weekend that did not go well, apparently. We also didn't talk about that. They opened the first Warhammer Cafe in Los Angeles last weekend. Did not go particularly well. Along with that, they released the new tournament rules for the events. So the Age of Sigmar tournament rules. Nothing super surprising in any of this. The only one that I saw that was weird for me is that the contrast and basic methods for painting, or contrast and classic methods, there we go, for painting, are both point awarded the same way now for the games, which as somebody who hates contrast paints, that's dumb. It's just super dumb. So you do get your 10 victory points in 9th edition in 40k, and I believe that there is also points that's going to be in, well, I know there's points for fully painted army in match play for Age of Sigmar 3, so that's neat. Also, I guess if I really wanted to paint armies for tournaments, there'd be commission work, but I don't want to do that. Any thoughts, Adam?
As I don't really have any desire to play in a tournament.
Oh, come on. It's only 8 games in 2 days.
Yeah, I've never actually played a full game.
Oh, well, good news is that the tournament games only go to 4 rounds, so 4 rounds and remaining points. Also, at the beginning of your 4th round in Age of Sigmar, all of your dudes who are still in reserve automatically die now, so that's fun.
40k is 8 rounds.
There's 8 games. You only go to 4 rounds on the tournament tables.
Oh, okay.
Like 4 full turns. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
At the end of the 4th turn, it's whoever has the most points remaining on the table. So, or it's either most points remaining on the table or whoever is taking the most points out of the game. I don't remember which, but it is one of those. Moving right along, I'm not a tournament player either, so I just thought it was interesting that they've decided all the southern states get their US Open dates back, and everywhere that isn't in the southern states is SOL. So that's fun.
Yeah,
News the second.
Kind of I feel like everywhere else can feel like the rest of Canada when a band says they're touring Canada, and it's Toronto and Vancouver.
Yeah, well, except for in this case, it seems like it's mostly not states that have a good grasp on COVID infrastructure. Come on, Texas is having a hard time keeping the lights on this week, so Frosthaven is much closer to being released. It sounds like they're still on schedule to, or rather, they have assured everybody. Isaac has posted that it is going to ship in August. Whether or not we get it in August is going to be a different thing, but everything is supposed to be on the boats in August, so that's cool. We might actually get to play some Frosthaven in, I'm thinking probably early September, but it might be August still. For those of you who don't know, Frosthaven is now the largest Kickstarter for a board game that has ever existed, raising a little under $13 million in fancy American dollars, which is like $275,000 Canadian or something like that, or $275 million Canadian. This is the follow-up to Gloomhaven, which, if you've ever played Gloomhaven, is like a fun little dungeon crawl. There's a lot more game mechanics in this one than what it looked like in the old one. There are 16 character classes, 6 of whom come unlocked. The ones that come unlocked with the game all look really neat because they are not your standard fantasy classes. Everything about this looks fun to me. Also, one of the starting classes is Necromancers, which I might have a giant soft spot for. So,
have I sent you my why all Necromancers should be buff?
No. Why should all Necromancers be buff?
Of all the deadlifting they do.
That's great. Can a Necromancer just raise a family in peace?
I mean, if you rolled good enough, you could multi-class a barbarian into a necromancer. Not bad.
No, because all your skeletons would die.
Oh yeah, when you rage.
Yeah, when you rage. Technically you wouldn't, because Raise Undead isn't actually a concentration spell. So you wouldn't technically die from those sorts of things, but I think that your intelligence, unless you're gonna go with con intelligence, you're gonna have a hard time getting the minimum for multi-classing at 13. Like, I guess if you roll well enough.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if you rolled well enough, you could probably do it.
Listen, the closest I'm ever.
If you use my my wood skull dice, or my dice that always roll really good when I don't need them to, and then just give me ones when I really need the sixes.
Isn't that all dice?
Yeah, it's most dice. I have a few D20s that I'm hesitant to use still.
That's fair. But yeah,
also ones that Aaron touched.
Well, that happens when he touches things. Things generally, or touches our dice, they generally become cursed. Yeah, I'm excited to play some Frosthaven. So I do have, I guess, slight disclaimer. I backed the Kickstarter, so I've got one on the way.
Oh, this looks really cool. I like how this looks.
Yeah, Gloomhaven's, it's a fun, so it's a card mechanic game. We can talk more about that after we're done the news. But news item the third. You can now buy hordes from Heroforged, or Heroforge rather, not Heroforged, but Heroforge now has hordes of dudes that you can buy. So check this out. Look at these orcs. These are great looking orcs. Look at them go. So you can either buy them for $7.95 for just the digital asset pack, or sorry, it is a digital asset pack which includes STLs, so you get the actual like printable file, 3D file, or you can use them in like Tabletop Simulator, like they got here. So you can throw them down in your Tabletop Simulator as just regular minis, or you can like, but look at how cool they are. It's $7.95 or $7.99. There's a bunch of them. There's skeletons, which I always need more skeletons because I play necromancers a lot. Look at those skeletons. Look at how good those skeletons look. Oh, Skelebros. But they did go through and do a lot of really nice posing and all the rest of it with these guys. I mean, obviously these are already in the colored stuff. If you want to go through and buy them in colored plastic, like if you want to buy the colored plastic prints or the painted prints, these guys are like $35 to $70 each, which doesn't seem worth it. But like as a $10, extra for playing D&D online, or for, if you want to print them yourselves, like I like printing things in 3D and painting them. Yeah, it's fun. Like it seems like a pretty good deal. And there's not a whole lot of guys. There's the 4-packs for now. They did announce that there are going to be more of them, but like, extra dudes for $8 seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Oh, I like those goblins.
Oh, sorry, we didn't look at the goblins, but yeah, the goblins. Look at all their goblin goodness. Ooh, are we gonna get in trouble for those goblin boobies we saw a second ago? Like is that a male or a female goblin? Because one way or another, that dude has done too many push-ups, or also, Heroforge doesn't have, like, there is literally no genitals on them, so even when you go and make a naked man, it's just like, hey, look, Ken doll. No. But yeah, that's what I had for the news this week, man.
Awesome news.
Yeah.
Heroforge stuff, cool.
Yeah, I like using Heroforge. I use it a lot. Like, I've got Heroforge Premium because I use it a lot to make, like, tokens for when we play D&D, because we use Foundry BBT. BTT, sorry, not BBT. BTT. Yeah, using it for that, I can whip out literally hundreds of, and when I say literally hundreds, I mean literally hundreds of dwarf markers in a relatively short period of time, because you can randomize skin tones and keep everything else, or randomize skin and hair colors and keep everything else the same, and it'll just keep generating NPCs for me all day long. Which, as a rule, anything that helps me generate NPCs faster is kind of, in my books, a good deal. So, yeah.
It's a good deal. Like,
but yeah, I pay the whatever it is, $10 a month or whatever. So rather than having Disney Plus, I can make even more 3D models for things and print them. Because, you know.
It would be something that would be cool for Heroforge to do, is make it so you can buy like packs of like the different accessories.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I wish I could do, is just send some of their assets out so that I could use them as bits.
Mm-hmm.
But so far that has not been their priority. They are still making bank. Well, and by making bank, I mean I can only assume they are not the only 3D printed model it yourself service on the planet, but they are by far the most popular from the 2 Kickstarters. So there have been others that have gone up on Kickstarters, and I have looked at those Kickstarters, and nah, it's just not worth it. I mean, their slightly cartoony style isn't necessarily my favorite. Like, all of the Heroforge stuff is vaguely cartoony. It's not necessarily my favorite as far as aesthetic goes, but like, there is so much in there that it kind of makes up for the fact that it's not maybe my favorite aesthetic. Also, one of my favorite minis that I've ever painted was Drac Black, and he was definitely a Heroforge character because naming people puns is fun, and a really hard time resisting making a Black Dragonborn bard named Drac Black, who is basically just Jack Black in dragon form.
That's true. I do really miss that character. I'm actually looking at my Heroforge dwarf right now that I made for your first dwarf campaign.
Oh, nice.
Or I guess your first campaign in the same world, but I played a dwarf, which was unfortunately very hard on my party.
Yeah. Racism is a real thing in that land. And it's because this part of the world exists where there is exclusively dwarves, because yeah, when I was like, everybody play humans, and you were like, I'm a dwarf, I was like, alright, you can be a dwarf, but everybody's gonna hate you. Because you're a weird oddity in this part of the world. Because there's an entire part of the world that was just for you. Just a dwarfy part of the world.
And I left it.
Yep. So,
But I wasn't
still
a dwarf
working.
pirate.
Sorry?
I wasn't a dwarf pirate.
This is true.
We didn't have a ship.
If there was one campaign that we could reset and restart, it's actually not a D&D campaign. I would redo our Spirit of the Century. Not actually Spirit of the Century. Spirit of the Century.
Red Sun one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to redo Red Sun. I probably wouldn't make a Yakuza guy again.
Yeah, I think that for me, like, I had the most fun that I had playing that game was when you and I did solo adventures. Or did the solo adventure.
The solo adventure was super fun. Really love how Spirit of the Century plays.
I just love that it's mostly narrative focus and isn't so much on...
Dice rolls are very limited.
Yeah.
Like, you describe what you want to do and then use the abilities that you created through character generation to, like, basically, like, pulp hero your way out of situations.
Which
my favorite part was the character creation when you pass around the sheets and then you write like the summary of pulp novel your character starred in of like one of the other characters. That's how the group ties into. That's like how it basically just answers the question of how you all know each other, because by the end of it, like through just degrees of separation, they all would have met at some point, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah, and I do love I love story path systems. Period. So even like in Cyberpunk Red, I love the story path there. Like I love character creation systems that are reliant on a story in order to bring your group together. That is one of my favorite mechanics in any RPG. So
yeah, I would love to, if we can get that going again, like in person, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There is literally dozens of other projects that I want to get, either started or done, including our fine little orc here. So You guys can see I am mixed in some Teneri yellow in with our graphite and a little bit of white. And now I'm coming through and where I'm wanting highlights on this guy. So because how we're going to differentiate silver cloth from just gray cloth is we need to bring the reflections much higher than we would otherwise. So parts where there is reflectivity to be had, parts that are reflecting either sunlight or other colors around it, we really need to lean into that sort of stuff. And because I'm putting these guys in basically outdoor lighting conditions for this army, I'm mixing in the Teneri yellow in with our white just so that I do have a really warm white on the areas where we're doing this sort of like daylight highlighting. If we were doing reflective highlights, so like let's say there was green armor or something, or green skin or something like that was closer to part of this, I would bring the green into the color the same way in the sort of mid highlights. But to get this all the way to where we want it to be as far as highlight colors go, we are still going to have to do a little bit of work with just straight white. So this isn't our final highlight or anything. This is still sort of like in the middle. If we were to use the Vince Venturella system of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 being our darkest color, 3 being the mid-tone, which is our graphite. This is sort of 2 plus right now. Where we go to almost pure white is going to be our 1s. And that is just simply because we want this to look like highly reflective material, right? So this is a highly reflective material in silver cloth. Gray cloth wouldn't necessarily reflect as much light as the silver cloth is going to, but since we want this to be a shiny, like metallic almost cloth. And to do that, we're going to do lots of highlighting. We're going to bring it really high up on the highlight. So that's what we're working through right now. Just continuing in the places that would catch the light. So the light is coming in from this way, so you guys can see if it's coming in from his face, we're going to use some of the more upturned surfaces that are towards that face as being like the areas for broad highlight. And then we're going to carry that across the model. So down here on his tabard or towel or whatever that is, we're going to give that a little bit. We'll also give the ends just a little bit of a fray here too with some texture. We'll deal with those guys in a minute because you can see like even in the sculpt there's some frays that are going on. So we'll just play with that a little bit. Accentuate that as we go. Anyway, continuing to work here, and we'll still be blending this back down. Back a little bit. Or when we hit our 100 followers, subscribe/follow the channel. We would A, really appreciate it if you did that. B, if you're having fun with this, and you have friends who you think they would probably want to sit around and hear these two nerds yell about Star Wars comics and Judge Dredd's actual origins and how the Mandalorian's doing today. Cool. We would love to have them on the channel as well. They can follow me on I'm choiceminis on social media. Adam, what are you on social media?
Social media, I am beach_vacation_Mando on Instagram.
Yeah, and you guys can follow along on our variety of projects there. This weekend, so on Saturday, I'm going to be back on stream. I am going to be working a little bit on the Big Secret project because I got a lot of bases that I got to build for the Big Secret. And by the same Big Secret project, I mean, if you watch for a couple weeks, it's not really a secret. Like, I can keep announcing it loudly. I got a Cities of Sigmar army that I'm going to paint the equivalent of a start collecting box in as few hours as we possibly can while keeping it on stream. I mean, and by as few hours as we can, I'm going to spend 3 hours painting a cloak tonight, or like a towel, to get an entire army done on stream in basically a weekend. So
Perhaps more comfortable with doing that, as I mean, you've seen me paint whole squads in an assembly line fashion in the matter of an afternoon. They're not anywhere near your quality. They're just minor tabletop quality, just so it's not all gray plastic.
Let's put it this way. This dude's got about 8-ish hours of painting into him, and we are nowhere close. So, yeah, one figure, 8 hours. I mean, to be fair, this guy's got maybe like, this is my test scheme for the army. If we could ever get him in focus, there we go. This is the test scheme for the army. He took me about, that is, I am aware of this. These are supposed to be competition minis, so they're taking a little longer, you know. Also, I kind of like explaining the steps as we're going, so I don't know. I'm gonna say that it's because I'm spending so much time explaining what I'm doing, and because we're like hanging out chatting as opposed to just like powering through painting. But like also part of it is who I am as a painter. So you guys can all watch me attempt to paint a start collecting box live in as few hours as possible. I'm saying as few hours as possible. I'm fairly certain that over 2 days it will be 24 hours, but we'll see. We will see. So that happens as soon as we hit 100 followers. We're also doing a whole bunch of giveaways on our 100 follower live stream. So when we hit that 100 followers, I got a bunch of both choiceminis merch to give away, as well as Games Workshop merch. I got Steam keys that I'm giving away for a couple of Games Workshop games. So yeah, if you are
Guns out now.
Sorry?
Hired Gun's out now.
Hired Gun is out now. And know who has a Steam key for Hired Gun that they might give away during that stream?
You do.
I do. Yeah, we got let's see, there is one for Total War, Warhammer Total War 2. There is one for Hired Gun. And I'm trying to remember what the other one I bought was, but we got giveaways. So, you know, the faster we can get to that 100 follower mark, the faster we are all going to get to watch Steve slowly lose his mind as he tries to paint things as fast as he possibly can. We all get cool loot. Well, not all of us, but many of us will get cool loot. And we will all have a grand old time as we try to paint. Well, are you still wanting to do Chaos Dudes during that stream?
Yeah, I'm still going to do Slaves to Darkness. I keep bouncing back and forth between them and Orcs, but I want to focus more on like a 40k or kill team than a start collecting box for Sigmar.
That's fair. Are you going to keep that start collecting box, or you think you're going to... Should we raffle it off at the end?
I honestly don't know.
Because you've never been really one for Age of Sigmar.
No, I haven't been. I do really appreciate their minis. I think they're, you know,
I gotta say that
like most Games Workshop ones, really good quality, and I like how a lot of them look. I really enjoy kind of the fresh breath that it's brought to Warhammer Fantasy, because I think at the end of Warhammer Fantasy, like, you needed like 8 rule books each to play a game. It was ridiculous.
Oh, we are already back there, friend. So just so we're aware, if I actually want to play this Age of Sigmar army, which I might, I don't know. I haven't decided whether I'm going to keep it or whether I'm just going to use it as a giveaway or sell it. I'm not sure which. But to play this Age of Sigmar army, I require the Age of Sigmar 3.0 rules, the Age of Sigmar General's Handbook 2021, the Age of Sigmar Cities of Sigmar core book, and the Broken Realms... I want to say Broken Realms Marathi, but it could be Broken Realms something else. Technically, to play in a tournament with this army. So, and that's assuming that there's nothing else that comes out before I would take it to like a games day or something like that, just to play. Now, good news is Games Workshop is discovering that PDFs exist, and it is now tournament legal to have just the PDFs on you. You don't actually have to have print copies of the books, which, thank goodness, because nobody should be forced to carry around 800 books to play a game. But, yeah, it is already back to needing 100 books each. I mean, it's no worse than 40k is. 40k is...
Well, like,
my Necrons are already
was
$4.
brutal.
Yeah, but like, okay, so Necrons, the like 9th edition launch army, still requires $4 to play. Even when
Yeah.
even when we technically play Kill Team, we're still using 3 books. We may not ever have all 3 of those books, but like when we're playing Elite, Commanders,
Oh,
and Kill
Commander.
Team,
Yeah.
that's 3 books. Like, but that is how Games Workshop makes their money. And you know what? I'm kind of becoming more and more okay with it as time goes by. And it's not that it's okay for it to be this way. It's just that I can't think of another way for them to finance the making of phenomenal models that I like to paint. So, listen, this is entirely self-serving. This is not a good idea, but I like painting their models. So, I mean, there are other companies that I want to try painting too. Don't get me wrong, but like, I like painting my Age of Sigmar stuff. I mean, this isn't technically Age of Sigmar, but it is Warhammer Fantasy nonetheless. I guess this is technically the old world because they don't play Blood Bowl in the Age of Sigmar when the realm gates have all been destroyed and like chaos is reigning. It always seemed kind of weird to me that we would be like, now everybody stop fighting. Let's wait for the noble guys to play some football. Will the football involve murder? Why, fun that you should ask that. Yes, it will involve murder while we're playing this football game.
Plenty of it too.
Will you get points for murdering? No, unfortunately, we won't figure that out until Guild Ball comes out, and then we will never actually incorporate it into our game, but that's the one part that never made sense to me, is there are entire armies, or sorry, entire teams in Blood Bowl where like the clear goal of the army, like the clear strategy of the army should be to murder other people while holding the ball. The dwarves, like the actual dwarf giant team in Blood Bowl, their strategy should be get a dwarf roller, have a bunch of troll slayers, and then just hold the ball with your runners while like spreading murder, like just doing all of the murders. Like that should be your tactic in that game, except for there's no reward for it. You still need to score, which is bad because the runners for the dwarves are slow, because I don't know if you noticed this, dwarves are short. So they don't run real fast, and because they don't run real fast, they're not great at the like primary strategy that the team is designed for, and instead have to go off of these weird alternates. So also the dwarf roller is for those who don't know, it's the big like murder steamroller that everybody loves to have in dwarf teams in. What's it called? In Blood Bowl. It's a Forge World model, and it's not a good Forge World model. I've seen a lot of people try and take it on, and I don't think I've seen it well executed in a while, so. So we're getting pretty close. I'm going to come back now and reestablish some of our mid-tone in a couple of places, as well as reestablishing just a little bit more blending down here in that area. We're going to continue to blend out some of the darker portions of it to being just a little bit darker on this side, and then we'll move to some of the others. So I'm going to make sure both of the leather cuffs on his arms here are also going to be the same, and we'll finish off the tabard on his cloak, and then we'll see where we're at for tonight. That's kind of where I'm feeling. So let's keep going. Sorry, I just wanted to spend a second. I've got the cheaters on tonight, and by the cheaters, I mean I finally actually put my magnifying glasses on. They're very dirty. I should clean those up. But I did finally put my magnifying glasses on tonight because my eyes are tired. I've been staring at code all day. So, and by code, I mean a combination of code and being in meetings. So it's been a fun day.
I was outside picking weeds all day. It was boring, but the guys I work with made it hilarious.
That's fair. I did not pick weeds today. I originally thought that I had a little bit more like personal time today than what I ended up having, so I was gonna reinstall the bidets in the house, just swap them around so that we were using the nice one on the more frequent butt spots. But nope. No, I did not get to that today, so hopefully at some point in the nearest future. Sorry, just cleaning lenses here. We'll get there. Hopefully we will get there. But yeah. Oh.
Yeah, if anyone watching this or watching this in the future ever sees guys doing weird, like menial labor tasks, like construction, if you're a landscaper, that would be like weed picking or like post pulling or post pounding, and they're being really weird and like just generally acting like a bunch of children, please don't complain. I mean, if they're being really loud and obnoxious and like swearing and stuff and there's children around, by all means tell them to shut up, and they probably should. I know the guys I work with would. We are pretty mindful about that when we are getting in our weird moments, which is usually right after lunch. But yeah, if you think it's just being, they're acting childish and not professional, please leave them alone. It's whatever task they're doing is very boring and menial, and it makes our dates a little bit brighter.
Also, don't be that person. Just don't be that person. Like, if it's not making the world a worse place, why complain about it?
Right. Like,
Yeah.
and we do weird stuff. We got in like sword fights with weeds today because we were weed picking, and just general fun stuff like that. And
To
like
be
forcing
fair,
around, like pushing each other over into like giant piles of weeds, especially when it contains lots of thistle, throwing dirt clods at each other.
I mean, I can honestly tell you I've never been in a nail gun dart situation where we installed a dartboard 50 feet up on the far side of the shop and used nail guns to try and shoot the dartboard. I've never been in that situation. I could never relate to anybody who has ever been in that sort of situation.
I can safely say I have never been involved in backyard area forklift races.
Nope, never done that either.
Nope,
Because you have to have a
not once.
forklift license to operate the forklift, and anybody who would do that without their license is an irresponsible mess. He
Yep.
says, suspiciously looking around to make sure that there isn't a forklift inspector somehow hiding in his room.
That would be really, really strange.
Yeah, like they're everywhere. Just out there. Asking whether or not I've got a forklift license.
I, at the time, was the holder of one, but I was not involved in that race. I was way too responsible for that.
Well, that's fair. I mean, you seem like a very responsible adult who would never endanger themselves or their coworkers do something as irresponsible as racing with yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm doing that thing where I'm at like max magnification with the magnifying glasses, and so every time I move my head I become slightly nauseous and very confused.
that's totally fair. That would also be me.
Yeah, so it's at like these are 3.5s, so they are very highly they magnify quite a lot, and so head movements outside of the mini are definitely very disorienting. And I keep reaching over to put paint somewhere on the palette, and I look through the actual lenses instead of around them because I'm a big dumb dummy sometimes. And yeah, keep making myself nauseous. It's fun. Nothing like motion sickness for good times.
I almost have my Boba Fett helmet disassembled.
Nice.
Almost. I was having trouble getting the one earpiece off because I decided I'm going to use the earpieces off of the helmet, mostly because I'm using the rangefinder from the helmet.
Yep.
So I figured it would just be easier instead of like trying to cobble all the electronics together on the earpieces that are supposed to go on my helmet. I will just use the ones off the Boba Fett helmet.
Enough. I have to teach myself well, not so much teach myself. Right now I'm working on as the like fourth side project to my variety of side projects. I'm working on my brother's train set a little bit here and there, just finishing up some grass applications and whatnot. So some point in time, when I figure out how to actually fit it on into a way that you guys can see it on stream, I would love to share that with you guys, because I'm actually quite. It's really just a lot of the normal stuff that I do for basing, except for writ very small because it's an N scale train set, but also very large because, you know, like I'm covering almost 4 feet of terrain, so like you can imagine that's a lot of terrain to cover compared to, you know, our normal like 40 millimeter or 32 millimeter or 60 millimeter bases. So it's an interesting challenge at the same time as being just a little bit more freeing because you don't have to try and fit like story and stuff into a tiny little area, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm excited with where we're at. So again, just continuing to go back and forth, cleaning up some of the areas where you got either too much shadow or too much highlight, blending out these colors just a little bit more so that we've got our mid-tone reestablished where we need it. We are getting pretty close, I think, with this. Very close, as a matter of fact. So we'll move on to the straps and I'll show you the difference. We can do a little bit of silver leather here because we're going to have time today. So we'll talk a little bit about what silver leather looks like and how it is different than our silver, like shiny-ish cloth here. Because we are using some nice shiny cloth bits right now. We'll get back to that in a minute. Oh boy. Have you heard from Sean at all?
I gamed with him last night. I think he might be working.
That's alright. Life, you know, gets in the way. I'll send him a message after. I just hadn't seen him at all this week, and normally he's on here at least one day a week, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I honestly think he's been working both todays. He did ask me to game on Tuesday after the stream, and I was like, no, I'm having a shower and going to bed.
That is totally fair. I believe on Tuesday after we were done streaming, I pretty much immediately passed out. So,
I made my lunch and then I went to bed.
That's totally fair. As a 30-plus-year-old man, I can honestly tell you there are very few things in life that I love more than sleeping full days and nights. So.
Yep.
And like not full days and nights at a time. Like I'm not going to sleep for like 24 hours in a row because I'm pretty sure that I would never be able to stand again if I tried to sleep for 24 hours in a row. But like nice full restful night's sleep is definitely one of those things that I didn't appreciate enough as a child and definitely love as an adult. So again, back here with our combination of graphite and white and canary yellow, just bringing a little bit of color interest into our highlights here. And we'll come through one more time. I guess I should do the other side while I'm at it. Bring this into our sort of like mid-highlight area. And then we'll come back, bring in some nice bold white highlights here at the end. Really push the contrast on this cloth, right? So we've got nice deep shadows up here underneath the folds and stuff. Ooh, we should clean up. Got a little bit of coffee standing going on in a place. I assume that was because of that shadow that I dropped. Just wasn't paying that much attention. Clean that up a little bit. Also, there is a sample from one of the Zeldas. The one that has the little fairy that says, "Hey, listen," a lot.
Arena of Time.
There you go.
It's the one I played the most of. Well, that and the Super Nintendo ones.
I spent a lot of time on, I guess that would have been probably Monday night, debating whether or not I wanted to buy a Switch. The answer is still no. I was like, well, I could play video games with it, and I could have it so that it plugs into my TV. And I was like, yeah, but dude, you barely play video games as it is. Do you need to spend $400 on a console that is like, at best, last gen console? And I was like, well, maybe this Switch Pro. And then I was like, how long have you wanted a new graphic? Like, how long have you wanted / needed a new graphics card for? And I was like, a long time. And it's like, and how many graphics cards do you currently have? And I was like, not enough. And that was when I decided, if I can't get a graphics card, I'm probably not going to be able to buy a Switch. Pro. Like, the Switch is like 4 years old, and I keep hearing that it's like sold out most places still.
Yep.
Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, it seems like a cool console and everything, but like, it's 4 years old. It is to the end of life. It's a 720p tablet. Like, I get that Breath of the Wild is good, but like, dang, Nintendo. Like, Nintendo was one of the ones who like got dinged in the like mid 90s for forced scarcity of their product. Like, they would create artificial scarcity, and the Japanese government got really mad at them and was like, you can't do this anymore. It creates weird panics and people do stupid stuff. And they're like, okay, we promise to never do that in Japan again. And then they immediately turned around and did it in North America for the next like 3 decades. Like, they still do it. There wasn't a Wii shortage when everybody said there was a Wii shortage. It was literally Nintendo limits supply so that they get more news cycles out of people being like, oh my god, I finally found a Wii, oh my god! Right?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. There are reasons why I don't buy new consoles and stuff. Well, I mean, aside from I want the console I pay multiple hundreds of dollars for to be good and issue free for the most part. I feel like that's kind of like a key aspect.
That's fair. I mean, like, I barely have time for PC games, and it's not that I'm trying to like holier than thou anybody. Like, if you like playing video games, that's cool. Like, I like painting minis on the internet with relative strangers and atoms. So like, I don't know, I'm not trying to judge you for whatever you love, but like,
I feel you know enough people who game, you can live the game life vicariously through them.
I wander past my roommates once every couple of hours and ask what's up in Mass Effect, and I feel like that's pretty much me playing Mass Effect. I also like watch speedruns. Like, that is my like weird calm down, is watching other people play extremely stressful fast games. So like, I don't know.
Yeah. We were actually talking about the Outer Worlds speedrun today at work.
It's like down to like 4 or 5 minutes now, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I love the fact that it was like a 12-minute speedrun the first week the game was out.
Oh yeah, because everybody found out that you can just pull open the elevator when you're there for not the final mission, and it flags for the final mission. They've never patched that out because why would they? That's their speedrun. So that's the speedrun strats. You don't patch out speedrun strats. So you really want a bunch of angry speedrunners coming at you, which, like, what are they going to do? Jump real fast at you? That's not true. So I have made an appearance on one other channel, one other streaming channel that is not ours. It is on Mr. Llama SC's, because I was part of a group speedrun for, let's see, it was Diablo 2 Necro Speedruns Community Race. I didn't do too bad for being, being me. And I mean, I like speedrunning. I like running Diablo 2, and I'm not the greatest speedrunner, but like, I can post a sub 90-minute Sorceress run. I've never actually completed a Barbarian. No, that's not true. I've completed Barbarian and Hell Barbarian. But I've never done like a speed run for the Barbarian kind of a deal, because it's just not appealing to me. But that is the one other time I've appeared on Twitch on somebody else's channel, was Mr. Llama was cheering me on because I was doing not bad in the novice class for Necro speedrun, and then my run fell apart because I spent forever in the tower because I just kept rolling bad runes. So, but that first half of Act 1, baby, that was where the juice was. I was on top of the world. And then it all fell apart because I had to run the tower 9 times and was way over leveled for almost the entire rest of the game. So, and I can honestly tell you the Necro speedrun strats for normal Necro speedrun, just not that fun. It's just put everything into teeth and then put everything into now you don't even get to change on normal. It's just more teeth, basically. Have a teeth wand, more teeth, amp damage. It's not a great speedrun. It's not a super fun. Not a super fun strat. You never get to be as mobile as the sorceress, so you're never going to teleport through like all of Act 3. You still got to wander around like a pleb. At any rate, that is Choice Minis corner of the Diablo 2 speedrunning world that the Necromancer the Necromancer speedrun is not as fun as it seems for a 20-year-old game. Although I am super stoked that Diablo Resurrected is coming out, so that'll be fun. You guys might lose me for a couple of days while I replay all of Diablo 2.
That's fair. Diablo 2 is an amazing game.
It is an amazing game, but I don't know how many times I'm going to let Blizzard get away with reselling the same game back to me, but it's at least one more time. Because it's HD now, baby!
Woo! Is it like a full remaster?
So it's from what we can glean, from what has been gleaned from the technical alpha that they did like 2 months ago, it is new graphics and a new 3D engine that sits on top of the old Diablo 2 engine. Like a fully running game underneath of game, because you can flop back and forth between the classic graphics and the new HD graphics. But otherwise, it appears to just be the game running on top of it. So there's a full 3D engine on it now instead of the 2D sprite engine or 2.5D engine that Diablo 2 was originally written on. Yeah. But we can chat about that when we come back. We're going to take a little bit of a break here. I need to take the glasses off because they weigh on my head in a weird way. My neck is stiff right now, so we'll take those off for a couple of minutes. I will go outside with my dogs. You guys hang out. If you'd like to be a part, there's going to be a little bit of slideshow here. If you'd like to have your artwork featured in the show, we're more than happy to have it. You can email me at choiceminis@gmail.com, or you can DM me your artwork just on love to see it on Instagram. But we're gonna take let's give me 10 minutes. So we'll say it's at 10 to the hour. We'll be back for even more. We're gonna move on from the silver cloth. We'll come back and clean it up a little bit more here as we get close to the end. But we're gonna move on to doing a little bit of silver for his leather razors. So yeah, stay tuned when we come back on that one.
Nice.
Let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. It's choiceminis on Steve Thomas. choiceminis, social media, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit too, also other places. Yeah, we're back. We're painting some silver cloth, so you guys can see we got a little bit of silver cloth going on our dudes. And the little tabard and the little tassels there. Let's work on his on. Are those bracers? That feels like bracers, right?
Yeah, I would call those bracers. Like they'd be like a cloth or leather bracer.
Well, I'm going with, because they've got like the stitching across them and they're not together. I'm gonna go with they're probably like leather or hardened leather of some sort. So let's call it hardened leather. We've made an executive decision. Steve has made a decision. They are hardened leather. So because we're going to treat them as hardened leather, and because these are orcs, I am going to make these leather, which means I need for color. There, let's do a combination of things. So, Adam, do you know what leather is made out of? Animal hide is correct, friend. Leather is typically dyed, but poorly dyed leather will only be surface dyed, or painted leather is only the surface of it. So the actual like animal hidey part of leather is not typically, especially when it's crudely made, the dye typically doesn't run all the way through it. So I'm just gonna give this for right now. I'm gonna go through, give all the edges and seams and stuff some alternate colors here, and then we'll work on getting our silvery color through the rest of the leather here. But to do that, I'm going to use a combination of, this is scale color Araco that I'm now throwing on the palette. I'm just going to mix that basically 1-to-1 with Golden Flash. We'll see where we come out with the color. This is me mixing this color for kind of the first time. So leather, when it's treated, so when it comes off of the animal and dried, it comes off first very stiff, and then it goes through the tanning process, which makes it nice and supple, which this guy looks like he's got pretty supple leather on his arms there, even though it is pretty crude. The tanning process, and then the hardening process is actually just putting water on it afterwards. But the tanning process for most hides leaves it not quite flesh colored. It sort of leaves it, well, a tan color of all things. So we're just mixing in a nice golden brown with some golden flesh. Hoping here to make a nice sort of tanny leather color that we'll be painting around some of the cracks and edges. And then we'll be That's a little too tan. So now I'm going to come back more of my golden flesh. I hope you guys can see that on the palette. I think you guys can. Yeah, you can. So we're right over here. That little puddle there. And rather than continuing to be a dum-dum, I'm going to mix in the golden flesh from off on the side until I get a color that I'm happy with. A little bit more golden flesh. There we go. That's looking good. So we'll start off here. And this is, I'm not going to be super careful about painting around the edges. Like I'm going to try and avoid the skin itself. But everywhere where there's an exposed edge on this, I'm just going to come through and paint some of this color onto all of those edges. I'm going to use the cheaters because I'm having a hard time making my eyes focus tonight. Just getting old, man. Sucks. Don't do it.
Totally fair.
If you're not old, opt out of it. Be young. Be young forever. It's totally worthwhile. And totally possible. I gotta say, I've got a leather jacket even. Like a nice leather jacket, actually. A motorcycle jacket that I have owned for at least 10 years now. That is... Even the edges on that, like it is really nice, soft, supple leather, and even the edges on that are fairly... you can see a lot of the actual hide color underneath that. I don't know if it's just crude leather that is this way, but this is a definite property of leathers. Hoping that I'm actually painting this on stream and not just like Nowheresville. I am. I can look up at the monitor while I paint sometimes. A little more sense. There we go. That's a little bit better on camera at work. Go me being on camera. So again, we're just gonna come around the outsides. We'll do this in a couple of layers. I'm not so worried about getting it up onto the onto this area of it. That's fine. I'm mostly just trying to avoid painting that nice green skin that we got on there. I don't want to have to repaint the green skin too much because, you know, did a decent job of that green skin. There's a little bit of cleanup that we need to do on there still. Also, we need to paint. We need to give that guy some nails. Now that I'm looking at him, he needs some fingernails, yo. I do like the new Beast Snega 40k orcs. Those are that is especially the new hero that they have yet to actually show us the model for, but have announced. The Great White Squig Rider. For the boss who is going to be riding the Great White Squig. Yeah. I'm assuming he's the Squig Rider.
Yeah, there is. I really hope it's the one from that art.
Yeah.
He actually does have an older model.
Oh, nice.
From I'm gonna say probably 3rd edition because it's solid pewter.
Seems bad. Do not like painting pewter. Every pewter mini I've ever had has either fallen apart through, you know, handling, picking up, touching, looking at, admiring, or has had the paint rub off of it, even in cases where it has been primed and varnished because of greasy gamer fingers. I mean, where else am I going to store my Cheeto dust other than on my minis? I mean, I guess I could probably store it like not on minis. That would make sense that I would keep it in places that aren't my minis, but I'm a greasy gamer. How do you get it on my minis? If your minis aren't covered in Cheeto dust, are you really a gamer?
No.
Exactly. Exactly, everybody.
This is coming from a man who has a beard that has literally touched his belly button, and I have found more than one full Cheeto in my beard.
Well, you gotta save it for later, right? It's really important. Like, I mean, you don't want to just give that sort of stuff away. You want to save it for later. Gotta have your Cheetos later.
Hey.
I just happen to like storing my Cheeto dust on my nicely painted minis.
Yeah. I'm just reading about Paladin Elf I didn't know about. It's the one from the Odyssey of Theros.
Yeah, you're talking about the D&D Odyssey of Theros?
Yeah, the 5e.
Yeah. Not my favorite. I'm not a huge fan of Greek mythology as a setting in D&D. I know that like it already existed and whatnot. I really wish that we could have gone back and given some love to some of our old school settings that they've neglected for many a year. Planescape.
Spelljammer.
Yeah, Planescape, Spelljammer. Pretty. They're not exactly the same, but Planescape does involve my favorite realm in all of D&D, and also, well, I guess Spelljammer is home to my favorite ridiculous race in all of D&D. So I don't know.
Is it the hippopotamuses with the guns?
Yup.
Yeah, I love those guys. They're amazing, and the fact that they look like British colonial era troops.
Yep. Because I'm ridiculous like that. I think that sort of thing is funny and ridiculous and exactly what I want at a...
An elephant version of them.
There's also a rhinoceros version of them. Because at some point in time, the writers of D&D knew how to have a lot of fun. It was in the 80s. It was just about fun. I mean, just like irresponsible amount of cocaine coursing through them.
Yes, if there's anything I know about the creation of D&D, we can thank cocaine for D&D.
Actually, to be fair with you, it wasn't until Gary went to Hollywood that he really like found out just how much he loved cocaine. So prior to that, when he lived when it was still in Lake Geneva and it was still a small company when TSR was, or TSR was still small. Gary didn't know how much he was going to love cocaine in his later years, but then Gary found out that cocaine is great and found out just how much he loved cocaine by being the head of Wing TSR or TSR's Hollywood division. That was really where Gary found his stride for cocaine. But I have no doubt in my mind that there was plenty of nerds that had found their love of the white powdering Colombian marching powder while working for TSR prior to that. And really, it was that all of the creators of D&D, except for Gary, really loved Lord of the Rings too. Gary doesn't like or didn't like Lord of the Rings. I guess he's dead, so he has no opinion of Lord of the Rings. As you know, death kind of removes your opinion of things as you are no longer alive. But I guess he might still have some sort of opinion of them. He just can't express those opinions any longer because of death.
That's totally fair. Yeah, I know. Like, I do really have a soft spot for Greek mythology. I think it mostly stems from being in elementary school and we spent like a semester learning about it, and I've just been really into it since then. I also really enjoy Assassin's Creed Odyssey, even though it's not really Assassin's Creed anymore. It's just a RPG game set in ancient Greece.
What was the newest one? It was Norse mythology, wasn't it?
Yeah, I heard that one was really bad. Like you can ride
Assassin's Creed 2, so go me.
Yeah, I still like Black Flag is my favorite Assassin's Creed. Because pirates.
Well, I do like myself a pirate. Specifically, if they could come from the sky, sky pirates are my favorite.
Yes.
If we could have more things that involve sky pirates, my life would be so much better. Not saying that like regular pirates aren't cool, like regular pirates have their place, but like sky pirates, that is a sort of buffoonery that I really enjoy.
You know what one of my favorite iterations of Sky Pirates are the Sky Pirates from Tailspin.
I was gonna say it's either Tailspin or Crimson Sky because those are both the greatest.
I love everything about Crimson Skies. The point where like I can't remember how many times I beat that game, and really loved customizing my planes. I had one plane that was literally just 3 of the really big giant single shot cannons, and nothing survived.
Fair.
Yeah, I love the whole aesthetic about Crimson Skies. That game was fantastic. I've also played the Xbox one, which was a like a continuation of the story.
Huh. I didn't think that anybody had ever actually like bothered to continue on with that world. Wasn't Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow that was sort of based in Crimson Skies sort of stuff?
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow was definitely more like I'd say World War II era retro, like a retro futuristic World War II.
Okay.
I mean, he's like, aside from I guess the stuff that Angelina Jolie uses, where she has plane subs, fighter plane subs, which are actually super super cool. And like the giant sky carrier, Sky Captain flies a P-40 Warhawk that's been pimped. That is objectively a super awful movie.
Oh, I have no doubt about it. I don't remember much of that movie, but like that just to me means it probably wasn't that good a movie.
I own it. It wasn't.
Okay. Well, that's fine, but like I like the idea and the aesthetic of that sort of thing, so I don't know. I can get convinced. I would probably watch it if it were like available to me, but I think I've looked for it a couple times, and it's not even on like Netflix or anything. It's just like we all forgot that this movie existed.
It was the first movie shot entirely in front of a green screen.
Huh. That seems bad.
Yeah.
That seems like a real acting challenge. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I feel bad for actors in movies like that, where it's like, oh no, I just acted to nothing the entire time. There was some guys pointing out ping pong balls, so
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, it's it wasn't I love Crimson Skies so much. That game was so much fun. The world was so neat.
Yeah, my favorite Sky Pirates, Tailspin still. Because
Yeah,
Shere Khan.
It wasn't Shere Khan. Shere Khan was the businessman. It was the wolf.
Right. It was the wolf. You were correct.
Wolf, and he had rats. But Shere Khan did have a gorilla bodyguard, and then a bunch of other gorillas and monkeys working under him.
Right. That is how long it has been since I've seen that show. But
yeah, Shere Khan was basically Lex Luthor.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, using the same colors that we were using before, so obviously other than where we did the edging and stuff, now I'm going to go in and be a little bit like rougher and more scratchy about these sorts of highlights. We'll add a little bit more texture on this, but we're also going to do the same thing just around the edges of the leather, so not necessarily where the thickness comes from in the leather, but like right on where we would, if you were doing it to heavy metal standard, where you would be putting your edge highlight. I'm going to come along and just unevenly sort of scuff up this surface and use a lot of that scuffing to make my sort of edges more apparent, because we want this to look like nice cracked oldie leather kind of stuff, right? Like this is definitely not going to be smooth, even though he is an orc on a professional sports ball team. He's an orc. You're going to have scruffy, scratchy leather equipment. It's not going to be necessarily the greatest equipment. I'm going to also switch brushes to not my size 6. To a more responsibly sized brush to do some of this stuff. And this is where we can get a little bit more patchy with our patterns and a little bit more scratchy and scrapey with our highlights than what we were being. So the cloth, we wanted it to be very, very well blended. When it comes to this part, like this stuff, we're going to be a little bit more scratchy with our highlights. If we really want to do weird things with our highlighting, we can also cut the leather. So part of cutting the leather is we're going to come in exposing that surface or that under surface color that we had. And then we'll come back and reinforce this color. We'll give it some dimension. So I'm coming in first with the combination of Irako and Golden Flesh. A little bit more Golden Flesh this time, or Golden Skin, sorry. This time than what we had before. We're just going to cut right down into that material. And by cut down into that material, I mean I'm just going in and making a nice deep scratch. Some of these other places where we've got rougher scratches, again, the same thing. We're bringing now this tanned leather skin tone color into those deeper rough surfaces on the leather. Just that gives the impression not only that we have like surface scratchiness, but that we've gone through whatever the dye and paint is, gotten down into the subsurface scratches. So even though we're keeping the volume from having those highlights and shadows that I've been working on, now applying texture to the whole process as well. I'm going to grab a little bit of really, really bright. So I'm going to go almost pure, well, I'm taking pure white here. I'm going to mix just a tiny amount of our Golden Flesh into it. A little bit more. That's about right. Nice sharp point on the brush. I'm going to come in here along the bottom edge of this cut that we've made. Just trace in a nice bright white. Give it some dimensionality on the bottom side. And then we'll come in and cut a shadow on the top side so that it looks like we got a fully three-dimensional cut going on. So there we go. Then to get our dark top of the cut in here, just with black and the Irako, making quite a nice dark here, dark tone. And just along top. Nice. Now I don't want this to be a nice straight line, but I do want this to be fairly fine along that top there. Again, I want this to really go higher 360 degrees, so where it's going on that corner, just gonna down. There we go. It's quite deep in there. On this side, now that I'm looking at it, there we go. And you know, because nothing is ever good enough, I'm gonna come back in one more time here. Rocco, Golden Flesh. Just give a little bit more saturation. This side. Really, I'm sort of half scratchy, half dots. You know, making some texture happen right along that big deep cut in the bracer there. Not bad, not bad. Clean it up a little bit with some of our leather color, gray leather color. Clean up the bottom edge of that white highlight a little bit. And there we go. Yeah. And then as we're down into these deeper colors, I'm just using just a mid-tone basically to give a little bit more dimension to the end of that cut. And make a little bit more of our highlights. So this is just our highlight color here. A little bit of white, some yellow. Reinforce that area up the top there where it is in some bright sunlight. Make sure that we've got that covered off. And catch light. There we go. So let's see if we can show that off on camera. So there you go. That's a nice deep cut into that leather there. It's not quite all the way down to the skin looking, but it looks like he's got a pretty ripped up bracer going on there. And we'll continue to just add a little bit more texture to this part of the model. Now, I'm getting a little crazy, so let's take a different part of the model here just for a second. So let's make some highlight color. Let's go and do something irresponsible. So let's go to the backside of this bracer here. Say that I make a mess. Really too much scratches, right? Too many scratches all over that side of the model. Let's maybe get that in focus if we could. There we go. Thank you, camera. So I've made a mess now. That is too much scratches. Cool. We don't have to worry about that. Take a little bit of our mid-tone, maybe a little bit darker than our standard mid-tone. And normally if I was painting like brown leather, this is where I'd go and find like a nice thin brown wash kind of a deal. You could do it with Agrax Shade, you can do it with any other number of colors. But what I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to pick up some of this color into the brush. I'm just checking to see what the consistency is like. And in a number of layers, I'm just going to keep going over this thinly. Like, it doesn't matter how much texture I put on there, as long as I bring it back into the color scheme that I want. So using glazing right now. So this is a glaze consistency. Though I said wash before with Agrax Shade, it could be really any color. We just want it to be semi-transparent to mostly transparent. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep covering it over with this glaze until such time as it has faded a little bit into the background. So it may take a number of layers, and you'll notice that I'm not going all the way to just painting it over with an opaque, which you could definitely do. Like, it would cut down on some of the work. But the nice thing about especially old leather and beat up leather is it has, well, all leather has grain and texture to it. Like, there's no leather that is like just a solid surface color. It all has grain, it all has texture. So you can come through with just a number of glazes over top. And as I said, if this was brown leather, we could do it with like a semi-transparent paint like Agrax Earthshade or Skeleton Horde or what have you. But because we're doing this with our gray dyed leather on this guy's bracer, we're just using our grays. So we're coming back with our mid-tones, a little bit of shadow there just to... And it's not that that big splodgy deal went away, right? That big splodge of paint is still under there. I'm now going to come back once this is dry, so we'll give it a second here to dry up. So you guys can see that there is now like a big, well, in a second, once this is actually dried off, you'll see that there is like still a relatively large splodge of like just paint on there. But now I'm just going to come back again with our sort of like highlight-ish color. I'm going to take a little bit of mid-tones, so some white, some of the yellow, mix that all together. And I'm going to go back to making like our regular texture pattern. So I'm coming in, doing, you know, some scuffy, scritchy lines along the top of it. Make some scratches and stuff throughout here. But the point is that texture is now part of the like overall texture of the leather, right? It is part of selling leather as being leather, is that scratchy sort of texture. Anytime you want to create leather, we can have nice smooth textures in parts of it. If you really want like a patent leather, like dress shoes, or like if you're doing like say a Star Wars, like an Imperial officer and you're doing their boots, that's going to be a nice smooth leather. Like it'll basically look like plastic, right? Like you're going to do really nice broad highlights. If you've got nice or broad highlights, you're going to do nice, you know, high highlights as if, you know, it is highly polished leather, right? If you are doing anything less than that sort of like patent leather look, do some scratches. Do some scratches. Scratches, some stipples, maybe some slashes, that sort of stuff. That is gonna add leather, or it is going to add interest, and it is going to be more salient as leather. And then come back over top of that in a number of layers. Like, we don't have to just apply texture once. And I would suggest that you should just apply texture once, but apply texture to the leather, get some scratches on it, get some lines and some gashes and some dots and whatnot, and then come back over the top of it with semi-translucent layers, either your shadow color or, as I said, like we could do it with Agrax Search Shade right now. I know that Vallejo has like Vallejo gray brown wash or Vallejo gray black wash. Both of these would be perfect opportunities to pull them out on this model, but we're just integrating all of that color back together. The purpose of these semi-transparent layers over top of it is to kind of knock that back into the leather, integrate it into one sort of mass, and then we come back again with the highlight colors to do more scratchy texture stuff in the areas that would be highlighted. So coming back to his glove here, you can see that we still got our areas of relative highlight and shadow. Again, coming in with my highlight color, bring a little bit more white to it. White, yellow, graphite, and a little bit of Mediterranean blue. Mix all that together. What do you got? You got highlight color for these racers. So again, where I want more light, I am adding more of this texture, more scratches, more gouges, more depth, more dots. Going across the model there, across the top. Highlighting the spaces that are going to be highlighted. And we'll once again come back, and in the places where we want it to be other colors, again we'll add the shadow again. So we're mostly using texture to create the highlights, and this is very close to what we did with our beards and stuff when we were talking about gray beards last week. We were using tiny little scratches to simulate hairs. In the case of leather, we're using these tiny little scritches and scratches to represent, grain of leather, I guess. Leather grain. Adam, does that make any sense at all?
Yes, it does.
Neat. Blowing a little bit too much on my brush. Just got a little too much in there. You know what time it is, though, Adam?
It is time for a contest of champions.
Champions! The contest of champions. Champions. Contest of mushrooms.
Chowder. It's chowder.
Say it, Frankie. That should have been your champion of this week.
This is the part
Race doesn't normally walk away from things.
he hobbles away with his cane because he's a frail, gold-skinned man.
Okay, hang on. Welcome to a contest of champions. It's now. Let's spend like 10 seconds explaining the rules here, Adam. Okay, and then we'll get into yelling about who is going to win this week. So, our returning champion after defeating MODOK last week is Raceland Major. The rules of this segment are always the same. So each one of us nominates a champion from any time, place, or place in history or fiction. They compete in our contests, in our increasingly Saw-like contests. They get the normal gear associated with the characters. So in the case of Raceland, I'm taking Raceland the God Killer. So this is level 20 Raceland from D&D Dragonlance, where he is off on his quest to go and kill Takesis and take over as the god of evil dragons, because that makes sense.
Dude's a dick.
Yeah, they don't spend. The other thing is we're running with Pokemon rules, so our characters don't spend like 20 minutes yelling, confused about whatever universe they're in. They're here. They're gonna do whatever we tell them to do. We got all 8 badges. They're gonna listen to us, right? So,
yeah. We are the ultimate trainers.
Exactly. I mean, we've already beaten the Champions League, we've already been to the Champions League. We have already done all of the things. We went to Indigo Plateau. We beat the Elite Four. We beat Blue. We're here. We did it. We already did it, right? But
Keep in mind, I've only played the first Nintendo game.
for Pokemon?
The first
Game Boy.
first game, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I've only played through the first 6. At any rate, we also don't compete in like just weird battles to the death. We have a variety of things for our dudes to compete in because we just do. It's funnier when it is this way, and I'm gonna spin the wheel and we can explain what exactly the situation is. So here we go. The wheel spins. And it comes up with, oh, okay, well, I guess we are having a weird contest fighting in the void. So, a shapeless, timeless void of neutral buoyancy where there is inexplicably light that illuminates visible things, but otherwise there is nothing. The contest is a death match. So, I have chosen Raceland Midyear as my champion last week. Adam, who's he facing off against this week?
He is facing off against Sarah Kerrigan. But not just like Sarah Kerrigan, the ghost. It's Sarah Kerrigan, the Queen of Blades.
Oof. Oof. That is an oof choice for fighting in the void, my friend.
Back real quick, though. My food just arrived.
Ooh. All right. Well, in the meantime, so this is a death match between Race and Sarah Kerrigan. As somebody who briefly made it to Platinum in... let's see, it would have been week 1. Yeah, it was week 1 of week 1 and 2 actually of StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. I made it to Platinum League. I have not played. I think I've played maybe 8 hours of StarCraft 2 since then. In the lead up to StarCraft 2's release, I played a lot of ladder matches in StarCraft and Brood War. Like a lot of ladder matches in StarCraft and Brood War. So it's one of those things that I am pretty well aware of what the Queen of the Swarm can do. That's not true. I had played a little bit more because I did play the part of the single player campaign for Heart of the Swarm. So back to the point where Sarah is no longer the Heart of the Swarm and is instead, or the Queen of the Swarm is instead gone back to her regular form of just being a ghost / Zergling now. Listen, that storyline, I would have to go back and revisit the game. Like, a part of me wants to say that storyline doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but then again, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the storyline. I played single player, maybe. I know I played all of Wings of Liberty's single player because I really wanted to play with the Thor, and the Thor is a giant, like, walking mountain castle dude that you get as the Terrans that's only available in single player, and I think you only get it in the last 2 missions, if I remember correctly. So, like, yeah, I had to play most of the way through, of what's it called? Wings of Liberty, StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. Using this, I'm going to start painting our squig ball. So this football the dude is holding is definitely made out of squig leather. So I'm going to paint some squig leather while we're talking here. I don't know. I'm still feeling the leather. For me, I'm tired of this color palette and want to paint something with some more color to it. So we're going to paint some squigs.
Some slight bad mouthing of Sarah Kerrigan on my way past Jamie's phone that is currently playing the stream.
At no point in time did I badmouth Sarah Kerrigan.
I heard you call her a Zergling, and she's definitely not a Zerg.
Well, she is like a Zerg leftover when she becomes no longer the Queen of the Swarm, so, like, whatever that is. Listen, I don't remember a lot of the lore of StarCraft 2, especially the last 2 chapters, but,
I do. I also have the books that are the Jim Raynor origin story. They're actually not bad.
That surprises me.
Yeah, I have read other Warcraft books. Mostly the ones from, like, the orcs perspective. They're average as fantasy goes. The only 2 StarCraft ones I've read are the StarCraft 2 ones, Heaven's Devils, which is the first Jim Raynor one, which introduces you to Jim Raynor and Tychus.
Okay.
And then the second one, which is about them, how they kind of become like criminals and outlaws.
Are they criminals and outlaws, or are they just rednecks in space? Because it seems to me like everybody in that is Terran is just rednecks in space.
Tychus is a straight up criminal. The beginning of StarCraft 2, he is in prison.
Yeah.
But not just like any prison, he's in cryo prison.
Yeah, but like, again, that just seems to me like they are rednecks in space. I don't know how many of your redneck cousins have been to prison, but I'm certain at least a few of mine have.
Honestly, for growing up in a redneck small town, I don't have any redneck cousins.
Wow. That is unfortunate. You should get yourself some of them. It makes family gatherings entertaining at very least.
I mean, we all do like to drink, though.
Yeah, but fair enough. It's not like the law's going to get you for drinking, but they will get you for being overly redneck sometimes.
This is true.
Okay, so we're in the void. Champion goes first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did, after you told me that you were going to choose Sarah Kerrigan, I did go and look up what her HP is in both Heart of the Swarm and in StarCraft 2, and she has 600 HP, so...
Powered kill. I made sure of that.
Yeah, that's fine. So, instead, let's see. I am going to use one of my spells. Sorry, I should have had an opening move. Do you have an opening move ready? Because you can go for it if you'd like to. I'm searching through my spell list.
I actually have to look up what this thing does.
All right. Well, in that case, while you are waiting for that, I'm going to do the thing that I love doing possibly the most as a wizard.
Vanish?
Nope. I'm going to attack your intelligence. Let's see. So I'm going to use Psychic Scream. Blah, 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 blah. The only thing that happens... Okay, so you can roll... It is, quote, unquote, an intelligence saving throw, but the only thing that the intelligence saves you from is... Oh, you just don't get stunned. So, yeah. On a successful save, the target isn't stunned. If the target is killed by damage, its head explodes, assuming it has one. Neat.
Okay. What's the save? I don't know how I'd roll this. She doesn't really have, like, D&D-esque stats.
Yeah, well, how intelligent do you think she is? She's not raced intelligent. Like, she's not god intelligent. She's not 20. I'd say that she's beyond average human being because of her connection to the swarm.
Yeah, and on top of being a highly trained and disciplined human psyker before that.
She's not a psyker. She is a ghost. It is different, my friend.
She was psionic and telekinetic.
No, she gets her psionic. Oh, no, I guess, yeah. That is the story in Brood War. All right. Well, I'm going to give her, let's say, +3. That seems about right. 20 is +5.
She's not super smart, but she's definitely above average.
All right. Well, 14 doesn't save, because Race a god. His save is... So you rolled a 17, his DC is 19, because he is 20 intelligence and level 20. So, or you can roll. I don't really care. I need to roll 14d6 though. Also,
Google Roller.
That's what I'm using right now. So here's the other thing that I'm going to go with as far as damage to Sarah Kerrigan. Psychic damage is really what you're supposed to use against the Zerg. That is what the Protoss use against the Zerg. I'm going to say that she has damage vulnerability to this sort of thing.
This is Psychic Scream, yeah.
Yeah. This is literally what the Protoss use to try and curb the Zerg every time they're getting overrun, is some sort of like weird cannon that they shoot at the heart of the swarm. It never truly works, but it does kill a lot of Zerg in the meantime. So, yeah, we'll say it does about 100 damage. I rolled 51, so say what doubles it because of a damage vulnerability.
So I am going to argue the damage vulnerability point, being she is the most powerful psionic being in the universe.
Literally the weakness of the Zerg. If you're gonna take her as a Zerg instead of as a Scion, that is literally how we control the Zerg. Is through using like psyker beacons.
As the Zerg, she got even more powerful as a Scion, though.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm attacking her in the place that hurts her the most. Listen, if you punch Raceland in the side of the head, he's gonna go down like a ton of bricks. Literally punching him is the way that you defeat him. That is his weakness. Her weakness, the entire Zerg race's weakness is that they like get real dumb whenever they get called by psionics.
No, she beat the Overmind in a psionic battle, and the one named Protoss, dude, who I can't remember. Oh, I literally just read his name. The one guy who's friends with Raynor.
Uh-huh. That's all cool and everything, but the Zergling race's like weakness is psychic attacks?
Fire bat.
Well, yeah, fire, but like that is for like horde Zerglings, not for like their higher castes. I mean, if we're being cheeky about it, everybody's weakness is fire. There's nobody who's immune to being on fire, especially the rich. But you didn't hear that from me.
Yes. And after the rich have been on fire, I hear they are actually quite delectable.
I would never confirm or deny the deliciousness of the rich, but if you happen to be sampling human flesh for, you know, completely other reasons, I hear that the rich are particularly succulent.
Okay, I will give you this first round of damage.
All right, neato.
Cool. Haven't taken that and gotten kind of real mad because, well, she's also a very torn character.
This is true.
I did on YouTube watch like the complete StarCraft 2 cutscene movie that someone made. They actually flow together not too bad.
Hey, if old Blizzard was good at anything, it was creating cutscenes that went together and told a story. Like, that's why Diablo 2 remains one of the greatest games of all time, because it has a series of cutscenes that are really good. And why Diablo 3 is garbage, because it is real the opposite of that.
The cutscenes in Diablo 3 were shorter and more flashy and Michael Bay-esque than what I remember and loved about, you know, Blizzard cutscenes, like the ones in Diablo and Diablo 2 and StarCraft 2.
You cannot judge me, for I am justice itself. Thanks, Tyrael. Thanks, Tyrael.
Yeah. You're a dick, by the way.
Well,
cool. So, you know, she's gonna take that. She's gonna get, you know, Superman. I believe her eyes actually glow green, or they still glow white. Because I remember when she was human, they glowed white.
It depends on which part you're talking about, but sure.
Yeah, cool. So you can get real mad. She's gonna use one of her psionic abilities. This one is actually quite a powerful one, and is usually actually associated with the Protoss.
Okay.
It's the Psionic Storm.
Ooh, neato.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do about that?
I can do that.
Know what I'm going to do about that? Counter spell.
It's not a spell.
It certainly is. If you are trying to argue with me that she is immune to psychic damage for some reason, it is a psionic ability, and I will argue that it is a type of spell.
But she's not using any sort of like spell components or anything. It's just an ability she has.
Yeah, and neither do sorcerers. They can still be counterspelled.
But sorcerers still have to like recite a spell though, or they just do it.
Nope. They can literally just poop magic out. Because once upon a time, one of their ancestors made it with a dragon. One of their ancestors was a bard of some sort who made it with an angel or a dragon or a god or an elder god. And so they inherently have the ability to poop out magic. Not good. Wizards, or Harry's not a wizard. Harry is definitely a sorcerer.
Yeah, Harry is definitely a sorcerer. All the wizards in Harry Potter are sorcerers. They're all born with magic.
Yeah, well, or they're all sorcerers, or you could potentially have warlocks as well, but that is a more convoluted way of getting there. If you are a muggle and you get bitten by by a werewolf, you would technically have some magic ability. So in that universe, I could argue that you are a warlock. You're making a pact with whoever is biting you because they have to give you the power to become a werewolf. Anyway, stupid. I know too much about Harry. Sorry?
Werewolves are warlocks in Harry Potter?
Basically, yeah. At least that's the way I remember it. And if I'm wrong, please let me know in the description or in the comments or chat or wherever.
I only read the first 4 Harry Potter books. I have watched all the movies, though. They were
both read and watched them, and the books are vastly overrated, and the movies are, I don't know, competent.
Entertaining.
They're competent. They are made by people who like making money. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that no counterspell because you don't want me to counterspell your stuff, or do you think that the man who can take on Takesis and use counterspell against Takesis shouldn't be able to... Did he
actually successfully use it against Takesis?
Oh yeah,
because I never read that series of the Dragonlance ones. I didn't read the Twin series. It was one of the ones I never got to.
That's fair. Yeah, no, he definitely takes Takesis to school, and then only doesn't get to become a god because of Deus Ex intervention. It literally takes all the other gods being like, no, Raistlin can't be a god. Look at how fucking evil he is. They're like, Takesis is pretty evil. It might be a better plan if we have Race. And they're like, no, Raistlin needs to learn more before he can become a god. And then they basically win the battle for Takesis.
They retconned him.
Basically, they're like, hey, all of us joined together and made sure that you didn't win this battle. And he's like, I'm better than all of you. I'll kill you all, you bastards. And then they erased his memory of it. So not so much erased his memory of it as far as just gave him a nerf and sent him back.
They made him gold and sickly.
No, that was Fist and Dentalist that did that when he was during the tests.
Yeah. That was during his test for the red robe.
Yeah, Fist and Dentalist really made Raistlin into the man he is today, which is to say a gigantic butthole.
Oh, he's the biggest butthole.
Yep.
But also a super fun character. I enjoyed him and Caramon's interactions.
And Kitiara, their sister. I like all 3 of them because Kitiara is just straight up evil, whereas Raistlin's like, I'm not evil, and Caramon's like, you're both evil, but I love you because you're my family. So Kitiara is like, I have a blue dragon, and everyone's like, you really shouldn't be a good person and have one of those. And she's like, I have many of them. Which makes me laugh every time I think about it. Okay, after following up on my counterspell, Cry Havoc, let's slip the dogs of war. I am going to use major illusion and summon myself a Jim Raynor to have a chat with Sarah Kerrigan.
Cool. Well, this isn't going to go quite the way you wanted it to.
Oh, that's fine. But I'm going to put... I'm going to put him off in a... Oh, no. This is major illusion, man. She might be a psychic, but
no, she has a psychic connection to Jim Raynor. She'd know it's not him.
Fair enough. All right, I'll give you that one. I can't conjure a psychic shadow for my fake Jim Raynor. I definitely can't do that.
So she's gonna, knowing that that's not really Jim, it's just a trick. She's gonna cloak. She goes invisible. You can no longer see her. Apparently, that's also not just an ability she had as a ghost, but also it's somehow manifested in her as the Queen of Blades, which is
when they, so this is the weird thing. If I remember the cutscene correctly, they take her when she's still in her ghost armor. And like all of the adaptations after that, it is just a corruption of her as a ghost. So she's still in the ghost armor. It's just that
corrupted and infested. I mean, honestly, I think like Ghost Kerrigan would have been a little bit better of a choice for this one because she would just shoot you from really far away.
And I'd spend time with shield up and then just disappear. But I'm going to use time stop and then true sight. And then let's see, I got 6 more spells that I can cast. So I know where you are again. Let's see, I'm going to do simulacrum. So there is what? 3 of me, if I remember correctly. Okay, there are now 2 of me that are completely indistinguishable from one another. Simulacrum is friendly to you. I'm going to use the simulacrum to hit you with fireball a whole bunch of times at like 5th level. I'm going to burn all 3 of my level 5 spell slots on it. And then I will cast the same thing with all of my level 5 fireball. So that is going to be 60d6 worth of damage.
Cool. While this is going on, all the health you've taken off of her is regenerated.
It's time stop right now, so.
Oh shit, it is time stop.
Yeah. So that is 203 points of fire damage.
Cool, she's still alive.
Yeah. I still have 1 more round in my time here in time stop. So I'm going to use greater invisibility on myself and actually be invisible.
Cool.
And time resumes. I just blink out of existence. There's now 1 of me still standing there that she can see. She's very crispy.
And you know, she is very crispy. Her regeneration ability is described as very swift.
Yeah, even when you're fighting Kerrigan in like Heart of the Swarm, I'm not sure that you're going to regenerate 200 points of damage around, though.
No, I'm just reading like what it's saying.
Yeah.
On her like Blizzard bio page. So she regrew a wing in seconds. One of her wing not wings.
Yep.
Because they're not really wing; they're like the wing skeletons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where she's got her knives. She's got like pointy bits on the ends of this.
Yeah, they're like
for stabbing.
For you know, for when she wants shish kebab but doesn't have any shish kebab sticks.
Yeah, for stabbing.
Yeah, so you know, she's not regenerating like the full like 300 and some damage she's taken so far, but it's been continuously regenerating up until the time stop and is now begun again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, this is also a character that's so powerful she took on 27 siege tanks, apparently. I never played the last bit of StarCraft 2. I only played Wings of Liberty and Brood War. I didn't play the 3rd one.
Fair enough.
Which is where the ability the ability I was just discussing was actually used, or where she got it from. I can't. This is a really strange page to read because it's like, hey, these are abilities, but also scroll down and I think that's another paragraph. No, this is just more content.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what do you? Okay, what are you doing this turn, basically?
So she's going to use her psionic ability to try and locate Raceland while he's invisible.
She definitely sees the other Raceland that's standing there, obviously.
A really awful list of her abilities. I'm angry with you, Blizzard.
Well, that's kind of how Blizzard be.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like bits and pieces everywhere. It's super strange. Where did it go? That's not the one. Clicked too far in my pages. There. Okay, so she's gonna, channel the rage of the primal Zerg because that is the thing she do. Apparently now.
Why not?
When I fought Kerrigan, it was like the first encounter with her after she became like taken by the Zerg.
Yep.
And that was really hard. Yeah, like that was a hard fight. I'm not particularly good at RTS games. I just really enjoy the StarCraft universe.
Fair enough.
So she's gonna like pounce at the I guess the false image of Raceland. I can't remember what the actual that spell is.
Simulacrum.
Pounce at your simulacrum and it's gonna die. Or disappear. Whatever
Fair enough.
happens with those.
As it disappears, you find yourself trapped inside of a shimmery sphere. So you've been caught in the resilient sphere spell. A sphere of shimmering force encloses a creature of large or smaller size within range. An unwilling creature must make a dexterity saving throw. I assume that since you're attacking me, well, and she isn't particularly mobile as the Queen of Blades. I don't know if you watched any of the cutscenes. It's pretty awkward watching her wander around.
Oh yeah. The move I just used would be called Boundless Fury. It allows her to leap through the air and strike at targets with terrible force.
All right. Well, the simulacrum's definitely dead. But you are trapped inside of a sphere from nothing. Not physical objects, energy, or spell effects can pass through the barrier in or out. Though the creature in the sphere can breathe in there, the sphere is immune to all damage, and a creature or object inside can't be damaged by attacks or other effects originating from outside, nor can the creature inside the sphere damage anything outside of it. So basically, you're inside of a sphere for the next minute while I do some other things. Yes?
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't have I don't have like a counter spell ability or anything like that. I can basically there was one ability of hers I read about, now I can't actually find it because it basically is like oh, there it is. That's gonna be cool.
Cool.
I will use that later.
Neat.
Because right now it just wouldn't work.
Burning my last level 8 as I open a planar gateway to the Dungeons and Dragons plane of fire. I'm just gonna roll the sphere through the nothingness over towards the gate.
Grayson does not have the strength to roll that. Dude can barely support himself on his own.
You know what? I'll give you that. You know what I'm gonna do while I'm standing there is I'm going to enlarge it myself. So now I am 20-foot tall Raceland image here. I get a +4 to my strength. Does that help?
You got like
I go to from 8 to 12. I went from 8 to 12. His con is his real weak spot. His con is 6 because he's Raceland. Like,
yeah, the dude.
His con should be 0. Oh my god, a stiff breeze. I've died.
My giant beefy brother's not here to carry me around.
Oh, trust me. As soon as all of these battles are over, he just collapses into a fit of coughing and dies briefly until the next week. I have to immediately take him to the Pokemon Center.
With Nurse Joy.
Yep. But yeah, so Giant Raceland is now rolling Sarah Kerrigan inside of a hamster ball towards a fiery gateway. I'm going to give you 2 more moves to figure out your escape. Otherwise, I'm just going to dump you into the plane of fire forever. Heal all you want. When you're on fire, I don't think you're going to heal faster than the fire. Oh boy. Okay, let's finish up
Figure out
getting
how-
some.
Oh god, I didn't realize how the actual time.
Yeah, that's why I was why we wanted to play the game.
Yes. Oh, this is the worst list of abilities ever. I don't know if she has anything to really get her out of this weird sphere thing.
Are you saying that Raceland has once again managed to push Sarah, has once again won, this time by pushing Sarah Kerrigan in a hamster ball into the plane of fire?
That can't affect anything outside of the sphere, correct?
Nope.
Can
Nothing passes
affect-
through the sphere.
Can I affect the sphere itself?
Not really. There's no like, something else would have to break my concentration.
Huh.
Which again, I am a super soft boy. Even with Warcaster as one of the feats, I have what would be I have advantage on the saving throw if I'm taking damage to break my concentration, but like a soft boy. Like I am. This is Raceland's weak spot, is his constitution is garbage.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like how her psionic abilities could break the sphere.
I don't think you can. I really don't.
Like she is literally the most powerful psychic being in the universe.
In the StarCraft universe.
Yes, she's in her universe. She is the most powerful being to ever exist.
Totally fair. Totally fair. I mean, she does lose like a lot.
Yeah, that's because she's
In
also
lore.
a bad guy and she's stupid.
Agreed. She also likes Raynor. Haha. Sarah likes Jim. I push her off the cliff or I push her through the using the autos or using the resilience sphere. I push her in my giant form through the gate. I like sort of lean over, wave goodbye to her, and then as it plumps down on top of the magma and she thinks she's sort of safe because the sphere hasn't got away yet, I click the sphere off, turn the portal off, and wander away, dusting my hands off and returning to regular size. I believe that is win number 2 for Raced.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring a really big gun next time.
That is totally fair. The one thing that I thought for sure you were going to do is immediately summon the swarm. No matter what contest we were in, if I was you, it would have just been an enormous number of Zerglings just out of nowhere because she can do that. That is her thing. You can just summon the swarm from wherever you are and they show up.
I was contemplating that at the end, but I couldn't affect anything outside unless I summoned so many of the swarm inside that it broke the crystal.
It's not even a crystal. It's just like the only thing you would have done is crush yourself inside.
Yeah, she wasn't. I should have taken. When I first thought of it, because I was actually the guys at work were helping me with this.
Yeah.
And I suggested Ghost Kerrigan, and they convinced me to take.
Hey, you can still
Queen of
take
Blades?
Ghost Kerrigan. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah,
It's
she's
just
a totally
like,
different character.
oh yeah, just like I can still take Gandalf the White because Gandalf the Grey died. That doesn't mean you gotta get rid of Gandalf the White.
She almost took Gandalf the White, but
That
I
would've
don't
been-
know enough about him.
Fighting Gandalf the White against Raceland Majira is not much of a fight either because Gandalf is one of the lamest wizards in all of fiction. It's like, hey, my rod lights up and I can inspire humans to be better.
Can make fireworks.
Bitchin' fireworks.
I was like, I want to take Gandalf the White, but aside from smoking a pipe, chuckling at hobbits, and making his staff into a giant electric candle, doesn't really do much else.
That's fair.
Pretty good with the sword.
He is very good at the sword and can break other sorcery, but like
He can whistle powerful animal beings to come to him.
and to be fair, Gandalf does have counterspell. Like Gandalf canonically has counterspell. He breaks Saruman's spell. the Witch King of Angmar sort of breaks Gandalf, but not in the point where they do it in the movies, but at a different point in the books he breaks Gandalf. At any rate, there is counter spells in the Lord of the Rings universe. But that is going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Being just
Swarm down, but I was never a Swarm player. I liked the Protoss.
That's fair. I am Steve Thomas, Choice Minis. You can follow me on your social media of choice at Choice Minis. Adam, where can the people follow you?
People can follow me on Instagram at beach_vacation_Mando. And follow my Mandalorian cosplay. And I got further on it tonight during the stream.
Nice. If you liked what you saw, take a moment, give us a like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon, follow us on Twitch. Yeah, so you can hang out with us every time we go live. If you have any suggestions for more models that we can feature, or segments, or suggestions just for the stream in general, or, you know, just
or if you guys have an idea for a champion that I can win with.
Yeah. Email choiceminis@gmail.com, or you can hit us up in the DMs on Instagram. You can support us by buying our merch, or you can donate. Just the Willow link in the description, or if you head over to our Twitch page, you can find it there. Or just, you know, the easiest way, if you don't have the cash to spare, just tell a friend. Just tell somebody you know that loves Warhammer, loves painting, loves yelling about nerdy stuff, like whether Sarah Kerrigan or Raceland Major would win in a fight. Adam, I love you.
You, dude. I just realized something. We are almost halfway to the first giveaway.
Yeah, we are getting very, very close. So I'm super stoked. Thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. I'll be back this weekend sometime, probably on Saturday, Alberta, Canada. You guys can. I love you all very much.
So vaccinated, so we can all hang out again, and Steve and I can play Kill Team in person in D&D.
Oh God, it's just so I can touch another human body. I just want to touch your bottom. All right, we'll see you guys.